surprise audience. Machado is touring Europe and the United States after escaping Venezuela in early 2025. Pope Leo, the first American pontiff, has called for Venezuela to remain independent following the capture of former President Nicolas Maduro by U.S. forces. The Pope has expressed deep concern over the situation and urges the protection of human rights. Machado, a Nobel Peace Prize winner, dedicates her award to U.S. President Donald Trump and the people of Venezuela. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel says his government is not involved in talks with the U.S. President Trump has threatened Cuba following the U.S. attack on Havana's close ally, Venezuela. News and analysis, townhall.com. One Texas city has gone dry.
More than 100,000 residents in El Paso have been left with little or no water following a main break over the weekend, and it's likely to take until Thursday for operations to return to normal. The break in that 36-inch water main line happened Saturday night in the border city, which has a population of about 800,000. And officials says the break was made even worse because of, quote, the way the pipeline itself was designed, along with how different connections of smaller lines were made to it. Jason Walker reporting.
This is day 2 of the New York City nurses' strike. The affected hospitals include New York Presbyterian, Montefiore, Mount Sinai. The union says about 15,000 nurses are off the job. Among their demands, manageable workloads and more workplace security. More on these stories, townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Good morning, and welcome to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcast all across this country on the John Fredericks Radio Network, the only America First radio network, independent in the entire country. Well, here we go. Here's the Morning Rundown, which is brought to you every day at this time by our very good friends at the Glock Store, glockstore.com, located just a few miles from the airport right here in Nashville, Tennessee. So here we go. Here's the Morning Rundown for Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. Number 1, the state of Minnesota is suing the Department of Homeland Security for the, quote, invasion of ICE agents. Now, here's a clue, Minnesota. Don't release convicted illegal aliens to the public to commit more crimes. Honor the ICE detainers. Just give them over safely from the jail to ICE detention, right? The Constitution is very clear. The role and responsibility for enforcement of immigration laws is at the federal government level. Number 2, tomorrow, Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Vice President J.D. Vance will meet in the White House with Danish Ambassador Rasmussen and the Foreign Minister to talk about, well, Denmark's going to have to give Greenland to the United States. It is, after all, in the Western Hemisphere. And it's the land of the Donroe Doctrine. Number 3, the head of the French Armed Forces says, the French are willing to defend Greenland against U.S. invasion. With what? A couple of sled dogs and a few snowmen that will melt when under pressure? Yeah, that worked really well in World War II, didn't it, France, with the Maginot Line that was cracked by the German troops in about 2 days. Number 4, back home here in Tennessee, the Tennessee General Assembly will convene tomorrow. It's expected to be a short session. Education will be front and center in that one. Time for more school choice and other things. And number 5, this is fascinating. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is whining because U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro has started an investigation into his answers to Congress about that Federal Reserve cost overrun on the huge monstrosity of a headquarters they're building. Why? Well, because Powell refused to answer her questions. And so to get his attention, she said, yeah, we're investigating this. So he's kind of whiny about that. Number 6, this is interesting. It's another Covenant shooter story. We got another release of FBI documents yesterday. Guess what? The Covenant shooter listed. Yeah. An extensive list of all the guns that she saw in movies, including, wait for it, Matt Damon, who I like, by the way, as an actor. But all of a long, long list of the guns used in the Bourne franchise, Bourne. Number 7, E.J. Haas will join us to talk about Minnesota insanity in hour 2. And then, of course, at the bottom of this hour, Tom Pappert on the new Covenant story. So there you go. That is the Morning Rundown, brought to you by our friends at the Glock Store. This is where I get to talk about my friend Lenny McGill and the incredible Glock Store. For years now, you've been hearing me talk about how the Glock Store is everything Glock. That's why Lenny named it the Glock Store. Hello. Well, have you heard about the latest Glocks, the Gen 6? You can bet Lenny has. Lenny tells me the new Gen 6 Glocks have a new optic system, RTF6 texturing, and enlarged beaver tail, flat face trigger guard undercut, and an integrated thumb rest, also known as the gas pedal. Well, I don't really know what all that means, but Lenny does. In fact, Lenny tells me the Gen 6 Glocks are definitely the most refined Glocks ever produced. And as you might expect, the Glock Store has already received their first shipment of Gen 6 G17s, G19s, and 45s. They were literally gone before they even arrived at the warehouse. That's because the Glock Store is letting you pre-order these new Glocks, so you'll be the one to get one of these firsthand. And as a thank you for your pre-order, you'll get an extra magazine when you receive your new Gen 6 Glock. Here's what you do. Go to Glockstore.com, click on the Gen 6 tab at the top of the website, place your pre-order for the Glock or Glocks of your choice. When they ship your new Glock to the FFL of your choice, or you pick it up at the Glock Store retail showroom here in Nashville, the Glock Store will throw in an extra magazine. Now, this is a limited time offer, only for pre-orders, and only from my friends at the Glock Store, the number one source for Glock parts, accessories, and the new Gen 6 Glocks. Visit Glockstore.com today. I promise you will be glad you did, and tell them Michael Patrick Leahy sent you. All right, there you go. Glock Store stuff. We have common sense and Glocks here in Tennessee. In Minnesota, well, they have let the loony bins run the show. And I am talking loony bins. One of the loony bins, in Minneapolis, St. Paul is a metro area with about 3.7 million people. Minneapolis is a city with a population of about, It's about 480,000. St. Paul is right across the Mississippi River from it. The Mississippi River starts in Lake Itasca, I think about 50 miles north of Minneapolis, St. Paul. Anyway, so St. Paul has its own mayor. And, she's a lunatic. Yeah, here we go. She's an immigrant from somewhere. And now she's saying, we are going to defy ICE because they're so mean. Here we go. Clip 1. The lunatic mayor of St. Paul, Minnesota.
It's not even noon, and ICE has already kidnapped 5 of my neighbors. I responded to one where we believe a whole family was taken with children. There are more federal agents in Minnesota than we have of the St. Paul and Minneapolis police combined. And yet, there are neighbors that are showing up in incredible ways, like standing in front of known targeted businesses, helping escort workers home. Today I'm kicking off one of our first mutual aid grocery runs in my neighborhood. An easy way for folks to get involved, but it's because the workers have been pulled over time and time again, attempting to make deliveries to families that are too afraid to even go grocery shopping. We're also seeing troubling trends where HSI and ICE agents are rolling into city-owned parking lots like our libraries, rec centers, and our SPPD parking lots. If you see this, please record it to the best of your ability and submit to the Ward 5 office. I'll drop the email in the comment below. See you out there.
Okay, so, yeah. Okay, here's a clue. St. Paul. Mayor of St. Paul. If you arrest an illegal alien for a crime, don't set them out on bail. And if they're convicted in sentences and you get a probate, you let them off the hook, don't let them go into the public. They're not being kidnapped. They're being legally detained. All right, here's the crazy Muslim Attorney General of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, announcing this lawsuit.
The deployment of thousands of armed mass DHS agents to Minnesota has done our state serious harm. This is, in essence, a federal invasion of the Twin Cities and Minnesota, and it must stop.
Yeah, it's not. Minnesota. By the way, St. Paul is the capital of Minnesota. Did you see this? That Secretary of Treasury Bessent was going to go to the Capitol and meet with some folks there. But Tim Walz refused to provide security for him. So Bessent said, okay, big boy, you're going to have all these people come visit me at the federal office building. They're nuts. And we'll have some examples of just how nutty they are after the break. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy, the website, TennesseeStar.com.
Ponder this, Judgment Day, the day you go before the Lord face to face. For many of us, this day seems like a long way away, and we are told that all of us will be in a better place when we die. What many of us forget is that our God is a God of justice. On Judgment Day, you will stand before the Lord and account for all of your thoughts, words, and actions during your time here on earth. You might be thinking that you're not such a bad dude, you didn't kill anyone, and you went to church every now and then, so you've earned your ticket to heaven. Hold that thought, as the Lord has told us what we need to get through those pearly gates. We must believe in Him, be baptized, follow Him by keeping His commandments, love Him, and love our friends and enemies. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you possess, how many awards or accolades are on your resume, or how much money you have, nor how high you are on the ladder of success. Judgment Day is real, and you are not judged by a jury of your peers. Prepare each day for Judgment Day. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
1775 Coffee is giving away free starter kits. Try the dark or medium roast coffee with longevity blend, an infused blend with anti-aging supplements clinically proven to reduce biological age. When you purchase the first 2 bags, you'll receive a free 1775 starter kit, including a third 16-ounce bag of coffee, a matte black tumbler, a frother, a gold scoop, or a reusable K-cup filter. Just order now at 1775coffee.com/Godzilla and claim your free 1775 starter kit while supplies last.
The math is simple. Every dollar we waste on unnecessary federal supervision is a dollar we can't use to fight violent crime. The Safer Supervision Act cuts bureaucratic waste and frees up law enforcement resources to protect families from serious threats. Law enforcement officers across the country and Republicans in Congress agree this is a smarter way to improve public safety. Stop the waste, protect our communities, fix federal supervision. Visit safersupervision.com to help. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin. $5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code BREAK25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code BREAK25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code BREAK25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at GlockStore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at GlockStore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. If you want to call in, our number, 615-814-2848. Write it down. Remember it, 615-814-2848. When you call, tell our intrepid producer, Patrick, 3 things. You can do it usually in just 3 words. Number 1, your first name. Number 2, the state of your residence. And number 3, your topic. Be really quick on that. And I'll tell you why, because Patrick is very, very busy moving all the blinking lights around and making sure that we get all the clips played properly. So 615-814-2848, 615-814-2848. Number 1, your name. Number 2, the state of your residence. And number 3, your topic. You can also watch us live and in living color on X Live. You just go to my X account, Michael P. Leahy. Also on the Tennessee Star X account. I think it's the TN Star. And if you want to comment, you can just send me a message, a public message, if you'd like, on X, formerly Twitter. You can also watch us on, we're on YouTube, Roku, Fire Stick, and Apple TV. So lots of opportunities to watch our great show. Got a breaking story here right now from the New York Post, and it's really crazy. Renee Good's Minnesota Ice Watch group shared manual detailing how to fight arrests and launch a, quote, micro intifada. This is by Chris Nessie. The Minnesota Ice Watch group, of which slain Minneapolis protester Renee Good was a member, shared a detailed manual providing instructions on fighting police officers to free arrested radicals from their grasp, comparing each, quote, de-arrest to a, quote, micro intifada. So much for just a mom trying to take care of her 6-year-old kid. The, quote, de-arrest primer manual was reposted on Instagram in June by MN Ice Watch, part of a loose collective of agitators who teach members how to disrupt law enforcement officers performing their duties, including ICE agents. And remember the story of Renee Good. It's a bizarre story. She had 2 children, I think they're aged like 16 and 12 now, by her first husband, who apparently lives in Colorado. Then they got a divorce, and the custody of those kids went to the dad. Then she married another fellow who was an Air Force veteran, had a child who's now 6 years old. He died in 2023, mysteriously. It may have been a suicide, may have been PTSD related. And then just a couple months later, she walks into a courtroom in Jackson County, Missouri, and says, I'm living with this lesbo chick now, and I want to change my last name to her last name. There's no really evidence that I've seen that she was actually married to this Rebecca Good that she changed the name for. Then after Trump was reelected in November 2024, they moved to Canada, and from there they moved to Minneapolis. Then they go to this charter school, public charter school, enroll the child there. And that charter school is all about, wait for it, social justice. And that's apparently how she got connected with Ice Watch. Neighbors have told the New York Post that Renee Good had regularly attended meetings with the local chapter of Ice Watch and had received thorough training from the group. The manual, which says on the front it was published in the spring of 2024, outlines 4 tactics for interfering with arresting officers, such as the best kind of grip to use while yanking someone in custody out of their hands, or even suggestions on pushing and pulling an officer off of an arrestee. And that would be a crime, wouldn't it? Yeah, I think it would be. Well, you know, Jesse Waters had a segment the other night about what many of us know. These white liberal women who are out there in the streets yelling and screaming like banshees, they got some serious mental health problems. Here he is, clip 8. I think he was talking with Benny Johnson about this.
It's a lot of women. And we've shown you some very militant women on television, on the streets. Why is this a feminist-run resistance?
Well, one, because all of their men went to the free vasectomy bus at the DNC and got that problem taken care of. Oh, yeah. And then 2, that's where I was at the DNC, Jesse. There was a line down the street to go get a vasectomy in the back of a bus driving down the pothole-filled streets of Chicago. Doesn't sound like a great afternoon to me, but Democrats were signing up for it like hotcakes. I got to tell you, Jesse, there's a negative testosterone problem on the left, but more importantly, these angry women, what is in fact their problem? And I think that I can diagnose it. I'm no psychiatrist, but I think I can diagnose it. A lot of these women are in fact what J.D. Vance once called childless cat ladies. Taylor Swift once bragged about being a childless cat lady. That's why she supports Kamala. But that doesn't get rid of your need to mother. If you are a woman, you're still created by God with a motherly instinct. It's just when you don't have children, that instinct moves somewhere else. And for leftists, that primary instinct has moved to the criminal alien. Why? Because your instinct as a parent is to raise up your own children with the same value system that you have so that your worldview can progress, so that your worldview can stay alive and not go extinct. The Democrat Party is going extinct by choice. They're not having children, and they're trying to project their worldview and power onto criminal aliens. It's actually horribly sad.
Well, and really, this is mass psychosis. You know, when E.J. Haas comes in hour 2, I'm going to talk to her about really what percentage of the population of Minneapolis, St. Paul is, infected with this mass psychosis of lack of common sense. I think it's maybe only 10 or 15%, but they're very, very loud. Okay, here's an example of that mass psychosis. Last night, Minneapolis, St. Paul, I'll narrate it. This is a bunch of these, quote, nonviolent, what do they call them, legal observers, were throwing fireworks at ICE agents trying to get into a federal building in Minneapolis. Let's play this clip right now. Yeah, there you go. There's fireworks. Big crowd. Gotta be like 10 degrees up there. Frozen hellscape of Minneapolis, St. Paul. Look at all those. Look at all of those fireworks. Fireworks can be quite dangerous, obviously. And they're throwing them back and forth. Just beyond crazy. All right, so there we go. They're crazy, crazy, crazy in Minneapolis. And the Minnesota Police Department, what are they doing? Oh, let's just let them run free. It's just the height of recklessness and irresponsibility. What's driving this? Well, we basically have a fraudulent state. This is just beyond terrible. We have some breaking news. I'll get to this in a bit. There is a report, and I'm so very sad to say this. There's a report. We haven't confirmed it, but my source is pretty strong here on this one. That Scott Adams has died. The guy does the video. He had prostate cancer. It was very aggressive. He converted to Christianity just a couple days ago. And he had been a very effective counter to all the regime media nonsense. And he'd been very, very ill with prostate cancer. had a very public fight for his health. Got some help from President Trump and a couple of others. But there was a report yesterday, and I'm just going to see if we can find any more details on this. There was a report yesterday that they had moved him to hospice, and he'd gotten pretty weak. Although I have to say, he had been on, he did, I think, like 24 hours ago. He had been on like one of his shows with multiple people, including our friend Joel Pollack, who I worked with at Breitbart for, I don't know, 15 years. And Joel is his official biographer. If this is confirmed, and I'm pretty sure it's going to get to that point that it is confirmed, and we'll have this when we get back. The report is that the great Scott Adams has passed away, and so we're sad to make that announcement. A great American, and he helped preserve our constitutional republic. When we come back, Tom Papert joins us.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendment, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
Did you ever stop and think, why do the wealthy pay less taxes than we do? One reason, they take full advantage of the IRS tax code. Today's tax code is over 2 million pages. Who can read that? Remember the 2016 debate with Hillary Clinton? When asked why he doesn't pay more taxes, President Trump had the perfect answer. He said, if you don't like the current tax code, change it. I follow the very laws that you wrote. That's where Julio Gonzalez and his company, Tax Engineered Services, comes in. Julio's team looks at your taxes after they're done, but before you file them with the IRS. He doesn't get between you and your accountant. He reviews your taxes, makes his recommendations, and only gets 5 to 10% of what he saved you. No money up front, no cost. It's tax literacy for MAGA. He also sees what grants you may qualify for. For more information, text ETS to the number 26786. That's ETS to 26786. Text now.
John Fredericks Media on YouTube is all that and more. Wake up to watch the John Fredericks Show live and stay on top of the news you need to know. Rewatch your favorite guest interviews, follow John's national media appearances, and dig into the archives of America's Godzilla of Truth. All that and more. It's John Fredericks Media on YouTube. Hit YouTube, search John Fredericks Media, subscribe, bookmark it, log in today. John Fredericks Media on YouTube.
Is your pet ready for some possum fun? At Creekside Pet Hotel in Kennesaw, every day is a tail-wagging adventure. Whether they're romping with friends in day camp, enjoying a staycation in our cozy boarding, or getting pampered in our luxury spa, we make sure every furry guest gets the royal treatment. Happy pets, wagging tails, and the best care. What more could they ask for? Book your pet's perfect getaway today at creeksidepethotel.com or give us a call at 770-422-4700.
My fellow Americans, I have to tell you about my good friends at D.T. McCall & Sons. They have furniture and appliances and a lot more. They've been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years, and they're not going to rip you off. No hidden charges, no delivery charges, no charges for all of the crazy things. These are sick people at the lumber yards. These are very sick people. They charge you for cords and hoses and haul-off. They charge you for all of these things. They call them hidden charges. It's the type of surprise that you don't want to see. It's like an October surprise, but it's worse. D.T. McCall & Sons, they're not going to do that. They're great people. They're going to give you a great deal. With locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, D.T. McCall & Sons will give you the deal of your life. Check them out today or go to dtmccalls.com.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are joined by Dow Prize Award winner Tom Pappert, our lead political reporter at the Tennessee Star and the Star News Network. Tom, some breaking news that I'd like to chat with you about. The creator of Dilbert and the X account, Scott Adams Says, Coffee with Scott Adams. Scott Adams died this morning at the age of 68 after a battle with prostate cancer. Reports broke late Monday that Adams had entered hospice and was declining at a rapid pace. As of press time, his X account was broadcasting a live video of his friends mourning his death. I think we have that in real time. Before we join that in real time, Tom, your reaction to the death of Scott Adams.
Well, it's a tremendous loss. I remember in 2015, 2016, Scott Adams was really one of the first normal people to support President Trump openly. And not only that, he helped people understand how the president, then just a bombastic billionaire, communicated what the significance of Trump's emergence was. And I don't think this is a phrase Scott Adams necessarily coined, but I think he helped people understand that the president should be taken seriously, but not literally. In other words, he speaks in allegory, he speaks in over-the-top phrases, and Scott Adams helped us all, at least me. I remember being in college, and he helped me understand that this is a method of persuasion. I also remember walking into a college classroom after driving to school, listening to Scott Adams talk about persuasion, only to have a college professor reference the same theories and principles that Scott Adams was talking about. He was a very intelligent man, a very learned man, and I think it's going to be a tremendous loss to the world and, of course, to America and the Make America Great Again movement.
You know, his Dilbert comic strips are just hilarious. It's about basically being a middle manager in a large corporate structure and how insane that can be and how you can deal with it. It was really, really funny. And he did it for many, many years. Very successful. And then he became politically incorrect and was canceled. And then he set up this, Coffee with Scott Adams, a very successful podcast on Rumble, etc. And his books were just fantastic. Let me 2007, he wrote a book called Stick to Drawing Comics, Monkey Brain. And then, I love this. 2013, How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. How American is that?
Well, and it's genius. I mean, he really, in that book, talks about creating systems that result in success. So you're not just going through life relying on blind luck and raw talent, but you're creating systems that result in success. And I think that's how Scott Adams, I mean, if you look at his career, he had the corporate career, he had a second career, then he had the comics career, then he had this whole podcasting career. And I think that is something that he credited toward his systems for success that he, again, shared with the world all the way back in 2013.
In 2017, after Donald Trump had been inaugurated to his first term, he wrote this book, Win Bigly, Persuasion in a World Where Facts Don't Matter. I mean, you just got to love that.
He definitely knew the time we were in, too. I remember listening to, again, podcast appearances where he was plugging that book. Maybe we should all buy it if we haven't already.
Yeah.
I have not read that one. But I remember that was right around the time President Trump coined the phrase fake news. And he was essentially establishing how to operate in a world where the media doesn't care about the truth. Nobody cares about the truth.
2019, listen to this. How appropriate it is with all the insanity in blue states today. Loser think how untrained brains are ruining America. I love that.
And what a true title for a book. How many on the left does that apply to directly?
Yeah, pretty much everybody on the left these days. Tom, we've got about a dozen of his friends are now on his Scott Adams Says Coffee with Scott Adams podcast. Let's just join it briefly and to see what they're talking about right now.
To describe. My next book, Loser Think, tried to teach people how to think better, especially if they were displaying their thinking on social media. That one didn't put much of a dent in the universe, but I tried. Finally, my book, Reframe Your Brain, taught readers how to program their own thoughts to make their personal and professional lives better. I was surprised and delighted at how much positive impact the book is having. I also started podcasting a live show called Coffee with Scott Adams, dedicated to helping people think about the world and their lives in a more productive way. I didn't plan it this way, but it ended up helping lots of lonely people find a community that made them less lonely. Again, that had great meaning to me.
So there you go. Let's go back to Tom. You know, interesting, the humanity and the kindness and the intelligence of Scott Adams, and the compassion for people. You know, in the COVID world, people were very lonesome, and they had lost their moorings. And he really, I think, he helped reassert that. Your thoughts on that, Tom Pepper?
Well, I think in the COVID era, but also just this Trump era where, you know, people have severed relationships with family, with lifelong friends. And a lot of times it's not the Trump supporters making this decision. And suddenly, I think a lot of people were able to find a community of rational, normal, funny Americans through Scott Adams. And I know that's going to continue. I know a lot of those people that were part of that stream that was just being broadcast here on the show. I know that they're going to continue honoring Scott Adams' legacy and really connecting as a community. So I think this is a phenomenal beginning of a legacy for Scott Adams. Obviously, he was kind of a larger-than-life figure. He was going to have no problem with a legacy in the first place. But now I think a big part of it is connecting like-minded people who may have suffered because of their political views, because they just think clearly.
You know, I have something in common with Scott. We're both from upstate New York, asterisk. He's kind of upstate. North of New York City. He was 2 years younger than I am, and he was born in 1957 in Greene County, New York, which is, you know, right up above Westchester and Rockland. So it's kind of on the outskirts of the edge of suburbia of New York City. At the time, it was, I think you'd call it kind of upstate. But he graduated from high school in 1975. He was a valedictorian of a class of 39 students. I can relate. I graduated in 73, salutatorian, a class of 71 students, little town way upstate New York. He got a BA in economics from Hartwick College in Oneonta, which is not too far from where he grew up. Well, my best friend went to SUNY at Oneonta. There are a private Hartwick College and then Oneonta there. But then he moved to California and he went to work. He had a bunch of office jobs. Worked for Pacific Bell. He got an MBA from the University of California at Berkeley. That's you know, a top 10 business school. And he took, this is interesting, he took Dale Carnegie training. He called that life-changing. You can see that in how he reacts to people, Tom.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that doesn't surprise me at all. And by the way, this again speaks to a man who just kept getting better the longer he lived. He graduated from a pretty decent college, but then went on to Berkeley, which, despite being known as a left-wing cesspit now, is a very impressive school if you're studying something like business. And then he went on to continue to build careers, have them taken out from underneath him, and establish an entirely new career in which he would again rise to the top.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting, I've exchanged texts with his biographer, Joel Pollack, my former colleague at Breitbart, who's now the managing editor of the California Post, the California arm of the New York Post. And in the last 2 weeks of his life, basically, he committed to converting to Christianity. I thought that was interesting because he'd been kind of agnostic, atheist. And what I found interesting about that is, so many people wanted to say, well, this is how you should convert. That is how you convert. And he said, hey, thanks everybody for your comments, but this is between me and Jesus. Very typical Scott Adams. And so he has converted. And, well, he's probably in heaven right now, I would guess. Your thoughts, Tom Pappert?
Well, I certainly hope so. I know a lot of folks out there, maybe the more traditional Christians, and I'm sympathetic to the argument we're saying, he's adopting Christianity as a Pascal's wager scenario. He doesn't really believe. I don't care. I think that that is between him and God. No man can judge his faith, and I'm certainly happy to hear that he converted. I don't care exactly under what circumstances and mentally his machinations got him there. I'm very happy that he converted before he
I
passed.
completely agree with you on that. Now, what's interesting is contrast Scott Adams with Ben Franklin. Remember the story? Ben Franklin had been an agnostic his whole life, and in the last month or so of his life, somebody said, well, now, don't you think it'd be time to convert to Christianity? He said, well, at the time he was like 83, I think. He said, I'm 83 right now, and I'll find out soon enough. That was Ben Franklin's approach. He didn't convert.
I like Scott Adams' approach a little bit better.
I do too. And the other thing too about the issue of faith, I mean, becoming a Christian is a matter of faith, right? But there's a logical process you can go through. I can tell you, he went through that process. He may have been, early in his faith, but that's okay. Everybody kind of goes through their own faith journey. I think it's a great. One of his final acts, I think, is going to have significant impact around the world, because I think a lot of people will follow his example. We got 30 seconds on this, Tom.
I certainly think you're right, Michael, and I think this is going to be a person whose legacy is going to loom for many years, and there simply will never be another Scott Adams.
There never will be. All right, Tom Pappert up next. Let's talk a little bit, new revelations from the Covenant Killer Manifesto. Guess what list she made? Hollywood's involved. Back after this with Tom Pappert.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cell's Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
1775 Coffee is giving away free starter kits. Try the dark or medium roast coffee with longevity blend, an infused blend with anti-aging calcium alpha-ketoglutarate, which has been clinically proven to reduce biological age. When you purchase the first 2 bags, you'll receive a free 1775 starter kit, including a third 16-ounce bag of coffee, a matte black tumbler, a frother, a gold scoop, or a reusable K-cup filter. Just order now at 1775coffee.com/Godzilla and claim your free 1775 starter kit while supplies last.
What happens in Virginia doesn't stay in Virginia. It influences policy and policymakers nationwide. The VirginiaStar.com shines a light on the issues in VA that become issues for the USA, with insightful commentary that gets to the fact of the matter. The VirginiaStar.com is your source of wisdom and truth, locally, statewide, and nationally. Log on today and every day. The VirginiaStar.com. The VirginiaStar.com. The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
It's not that all Somalis are criminal. It's just that 90% of these crimes are being committed by Somali Americans. And if you came to this country and you took advantage of the Americans' generosity, you committed fraud, and you refused to assimilate, you know what? I got 4 words for you. Get the hell out.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
The book needs to be thrown at these people.
When you're learning something new, experience matters. At Lifestyles Unlimited, we've spent over 30 years teaching people how real estate investing works and how to build income with a clear, step-by-step strategy. Our program is designed to help you learn what to do, why it works, and how to take action at your own pace. Join today for just $297, a 60% savings off the regular price. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com, listen to Michael Patrick Leahy, and make America great again.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. We are joined on our Zoom Newsmaker line by Tom Pappert, the Dow Prize winner for Best Local Journalism in the country. Tom, more on the Covenant Killer Manifesto. Audrey Elizabeth Hale, 28-year-old woman who self-identified as a transgender male. In March of 2023, she walked into the Covenant School here and murdered 3 9-year-olds and 3 staff members before she in turn was killed by Metro Nashville Police. The FBI has honored their agreement with us and have continued to release documents. We had some more documents out yesterday. I'm not sure if this particular story came from the content yesterday or from a little bit earlier, but all I have to say is Hollywood, you've got a role that you're playing here in this, and well, tell us about it, Tom Pappert.
Well, everybody knows by now, of course, Audrey Hale was a person who was obsessed with various things. She was obsessed with her middle school basketball team as a 28-year-old woman. She was obsessed with stuffed animals. She wrote fantasies about enacting her sexual dreams with them. She was obsessed with, as it turns out, movies and Hollywood as well. She wrote in her 2021-2022 journal, part of her manifesto, a collection of 20 or so journals written over a decade or more. Well, she wrote about guns used in movies, and she wrote about Fargo. She wrote about Stand By Me, interestingly enough, The Dead Zone, and then extensively about, and a lot of these weapons, by the way, she seems to have been wrong. They did not actually appear in the film, but she also wrote about the Bourne Identity and the Bourne Supremacy films. And I mean, Michael, she wrote, like, she must have been pausing every 5 minutes in these movies when a gun would come on screen. She wrote, I believe it was 14 for the Bourne Identity and 13 for the Bourne Supremacy. And this was during a period when Audrey Hale had her weapons had been discovered by her parents. They had been temporarily removed from the home. And then Audrey Hale had agreed at this point, it is likely, to go ahead and sell these weapons. She had them returned to her for the purpose of selling them through arms list and other methods. So it seems as though she was drawing some inspiration from these films and thinking perhaps about weapons to replace in her arsenal. Now, it is noteworthy that she did not buy any of these weapons. Even some of them were civilian pistols that anybody could go to the store and buy if they're not a felon. She did not buy any of them, but she certainly wrote extensively as though she was a historian of the Hollywood films.
And the use of guns in Hollywood films. I thought when I saw the list, particularly, I like the actor Matt Damon. He's a lefty, but okay. But he's a pretty good actor, and the Bourne franchise has been very successful, but it is violent. It's hugely violent, and guns are prominent in it. When I saw that list that she had of all the guns, I mean, she listed all the guns used in those two particular Bourne franchise movies. It was a pretty extensive list. I thought, well, gee, has somebody else gone and did she go to some other source that had identified all those guns in the Bourne franchise movies? Or did she, as you say, obsessively view and track and document all the guns in those movies?
I will say some of her journal entries, especially in this journal, for example, she'll talk about her views on the Second Amendment. And it seems clear to me that she's watching a YouTube video and somebody will make a point about, Biden's coming for the gun. And she would pause the video and write, Biden is coming for the guns. So it is possible that something like that is happening. But I also think that Audrey Hale was coming up with a lot of this on her own. There was another journal entry where she wrote about the top 10 mass shootings, the weapons used, the people who committed them. And I thought, well, wow, that's really something if she was compiling this data. And Michael, I went to go research it and just, kind of make sure that this crazy woman was right. She was not. Some of these things seem completely fictional. I couldn't track down the people that she wrote about. So it seems as though a lot of this was her obsessing and writing what she obsessed over.
Well, I'll tell you what would be kind of fun. Why don't you ask Matt Damon's publicist if he's aware of this and if he thinks he has any, duty to the public to not appear in movies where guns are used because they might, incentivize somebody to engage in mass violence. Just to see how.
Oh, absolutely. We'll also have to, of course, see if he's commented on the subject before. I have no doubt that he has, even if it's not coming to mind right now.
Well, yeah, just ask him and see how they respond. By the way, I put a request for comment into Ben Stiller, the very talented director and actor, to comment on. He had some disagreement with some of Donald Trump's statements about illegal aliens. When the phone didn't ring, Tom Pappert, I knew it was Ben Stiller saying he was ready for that interview. I think we're going to have the same problem with Matt Damon and his people, but hey, give it a shot and let us know.
Well, we'll have to. I'm reading now, in 2016, Matt Damon publicly took a stand and called for gun control and strict gun laws like they have. And I'm not sure which country he's comparing us to. I think Australia. He's comparing the United States to Australia. So I guess Bondi Beach had not happened yet at this point, but we'll have to get Matt Damon's view.
Get Matt Damon's view on this. And I like him as an actor, but, come on. All right, Tom Pappert, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Michael. Always a pleasure.
Up next, the refugee from Minnesota is going to comment on the pure mass psychosis going on up there among the left-wing libtards. Back with E.J. Haast after the break.
Is a record player the best way to listen to music? Of course not. So why are you still taking vitamins in pill form that haven't been upgraded since the 1930s? Even if you don't have trouble swallowing, most vitamins in pill form can't be absorbed very well. It's time to upgrade to the pill-free future of vitamins. Advanced nutrition company, Healthy Cell, created a patent-pending ingestible gel that is clinically proven to have 265% the absorption rate of tablets. These physician-formulated supplements come in a small gel pack. You tear off the top and shoot it down. You can also mix it in water. They taste great, they're convenient on the go, and they're more natural too, without chemical binders, fillers, and coatings. Go to HealthyCell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of any product. That's HealthyCell.com. HealthyCell.com.
Trump 2.0 is in full effect. How do you keep up with all the action? I'll tell you. TrumpNationNews.com is your inside source for the inside scoop. Manufacturing, jobs, deportations, and the nation's rejuvenation. The first 100 days and beyond. All the news you need and no liberal gibberish. It's the perfect way to start your day. Sign up for the TNN newsletter. Do it today. TrumpNationNews.com. TrumpNationNews.com. Part of the John Fredericks Media Network.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter, Truth Social, or Twitter at JF Radio Show.
This is WJFN Goochland, Bonaire, Chester, and WJFB Portsmouth. Part of the John Fredericks Media Network.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. To quote President Trump, help is on its way. The president addressing his remarks to anti-government protesters in Iran. Mr. Trump is ruling out any meetings with Iranian officials following reports that the regime's crackdown has killed at least 2,000 people. The president's also looking to tighten the economic screws on the mullah.
The president said that any country that does business with Iran will be subjected to a 25% tariff rate on any business conducted with the U.S. He wrote online that the order is final, conclusive, and effective immediately. Meanwhile, the White House says the president is keeping all of his options on the table regarding Iran, including military options, as he considers how to respond to Iran's crackdown on citizen protesters. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The state of Minnesota and the Twin Cities have gone to court trying to halt the surge of ICE officers to their jurisdictions. They're suing the Trump administration. The president heading out of town today.
He's going to give a speech at the Detroit Economic Club in addition to touring a factory in Dearborn, Michigan that produces F-150s. And my understanding is Ford is ramping up that manufacturing and also going to be hiring more American workers.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Day 2 of the New York City nurses' strike.
The strike is about getting a fair contract for staffing and also sticking to our health insurance, which is what Mount Sinai is trying to pull from us.
Mount Sinai West nurse Tristan Castillo, one of the 15,000 nurses out on the picket lines. Hospitals affected include New York Presbyterian, Montefiore, and Mount Sinai. Inflation cooled a bit more last month. Prices for gas and used cars fell, a sign that cost pressures are slowly easing. On Wall Street, stocks in negative territory this morning. The Dow down 294 points, NASDAQ off 41. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. Now that we're finally into the new year, a lot of us are thinking about taxes, home projects we've been putting off, ways to get ahead financially in 2026. Now's the perfect time to talk to my friends at Fellowship Home Loans. If you want to lower your mortgage payment, they can help you refinance. If you need access to cash for home improvements or to wipe out high-interest debt, their fixed-rate line of credit is one of the best tools out there. Fast approval, predictable rate, and flexibility to use your home's equity wisely. Remember, many people still qualify to skip their next 2 mortgage payments. Imagine Imagine starting big projects or paying down debt with 2 months of breathing room. My family and I have used Fellowship personally. I trust these guys. Take control of 2026. Go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. Or call 800-510-MIKE. That's 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans. Mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
French opposition politician Marine Le Pen is in court today, launching an appeal. Will determine whether she can run in next year's presidential election in France.
At the end of the original trial last year, Marine Le Pen was given a tough sentence that the judges felt reflected the seriousness of the crime. 2 years in jail and a 5-year ineligibility from public office. Now, at the appeal comes a last chance to overturn that sentence before the presidential election of next year. If she succeeds, and the result of the appeal won't be known until the summer, then she'll be free to run once again to lead the country. It'll be her 4th attempt, but this time she'd have a real chance of winning. But if she fails at the appeal, then she'll have no choice but to let her young lieutenant, Jordan Bardella, be the party's candidate for head of state.
The BBC's Hugh Schofield in Paris. Russia has launched an intense drone attack on the northeastern Ukrainian city of Kharkiv. At least 4 people killed. News and analysis, townhall.com. Paying tribute to the legendary boxer who could float like a butterfly and sting like a bee.
The U.S. Postal Service is honoring Muhammad Ali with a commemorative postage stamp. The stamp features a 1974 Associated Press black and white photo of Ali in a boxing pose. The unveiling will take place in Louisville, Kentucky, Ali's birthplace and home to the Muhammad Ali Center. Because they're forever stamps, the first-class mail postage will always remain valid, what his wife Lonnie Ali calls an ultimate tribute. Ali was known as one of the greatest boxers and a candid figure on war, civil rights, and religion. He died in 2016 at the age of 74 after living with Parkinson's disease for more than 3 decades. I'm Marcela Sanchez.
No longer underpinned by taxpayer dollars, PBS News Weekend has signed off, fading to black due to federal funding cuts. More on these stories, townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Tuesdays, Hour 2, and Fridays, Hour 1 are always a delight because we're joined in studio by the official guest host of the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, the one, the only, E.J. Haas. Good morning, E.J.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday.
So for those listeners who are new to the program, E.J. is uniquely qualified to talk about the insanity in Minnesota because she lived in Minnesota in a suburb of Minneapolis, St. Paul for 12 very long years. Mm-hmm. 12 long years. Mm-hmm. And then was fortunate to see the light and make things happen along with her family and moved to state income tax-free Tennessee.
Yes, I was very politically active there too. Worked for state party, really tried my best to involve myself in trying to save the state. Failing miserably and seeing the light, I moved.
Yeah, so here's what's interesting. The population of the state of Minnesota is about the same as the population of the state of Tennessee. We're about almost 7 million. We have 9 members of Congress. They're about 6 million, maybe 5.5 million. They have 8 members of Congress. Yep. About the same size.
Yep.
But here is an important question for you. Of that almost 6 million population, I think about 3.5 million live in metropolitan Minneapolis, St. Paul. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's the big question. We're seeing on the television an estimated 10,000 or so people who are utter lunatics in the streets, resisting law enforcement.
Across a couple of cities, right? You got Twin Cities, St. Cloud,
which
Duluth.
Is Somali-infested St. Cloud.
Yeah.
And it's been for 15 years.
I don't know if it's been that long, but it's been a bit, yeah.
Because I know I was writing about it in 2013 for Breitbart, and it had gotten really bad then. So it's about that long. But here's my question to you: we see all these clips, largely of insane middle-aged white women.
Yes.
Who are liberals.
The awfuls.
Yes. Now,
the awfuls.
Tell our audience.
The affluent white female urban liberals.
Affluent female white.
Affluent white female urban liberals.
They're awful.
Yeah.
And they're insane.
Yes.
But
possibly clinically.
Yes.
So do you want to hear what I actually started researching this a little bit because it just doesn't make any sense. I started to get really mad at the moms. Really mad when it was one thing for Renee Good, the woman who was shot by law enforcement after she ran him down with her vehicle. She has 3 children, 2 of which she lost custody of, one of which was seemingly at school or daycare or something.
She put one of them, her 6-year-old.
Yeah.
She placed in this public charter school, whose goal in life, it's K-5. They're all about social justice there.
Yeah.
And that's where she connected with this Ice Watch group, this Antifa-like group.
Yeah. So make no mistake, she wasn't just like driving home and happened upon this ICE raid. She had been following them for a long time. So most of the audience I know, very smart people who listen to this program, they know that already. But my point was I got really upset with the moms who were doing this and putting their children in danger. There was another woman who was interviewed by local news holding her child at one of these quote unquote protests that I think are turning into riots. So what's wrong with them? Are they truly crazy? What is making a mother put strangers ahead of the safety of their own children? That doesn't make any sense to me as a normal person. And I'm not a perfect mother, but I darn well tried to keep my children out of danger, right? So, and to keep myself out of danger so that my children would grow up with a mother. So there's that. So I started looking into, what are the common causes of the day that we've been talking about in social circles and elsewhere. And a lot of people, a lot of awfuls are taking mental health drugs. A lot. They're getting therapy. They are on SSRIs or some sort of anti-anxiety medication. Everybody seems to have ADD or ADHD, adults and children, need their happy pills. So I'm curious as to how many women in the Midwest and specifically Minnesota are taking some sort of mental health prescription drug. Turns out it's a lot. It's anywhere, and the estimates are kind of all over the place. I addressed and looked for information on specific medications, but then also just in general, are they on medication? Best I can find is about somewhere between 22 and 30% of adult females in Minnesota are taking some sort of mental health medication. That's a lot. Now, anybody who knows someone who's taking those types of drugs knows that they get kind of numb-ish, right? More and more of our young women are taking them, and they just kind of have an apathy if they're taking those drugs. Not everybody, and for some, I'm sure it works. This is not like a blanket, everybody who takes them is bad. Please don't take my words that way. But what I'm saying is, there are, upwards of 20% of women in Minnesota who feel as though their mental health is off. You don't go and ask for those medications unless, or, even go and see someone about your mental health unless you've somehow been told or feel or are somehow brainwashed from the society and the social media and the everything into thinking this is a path forward for you. So it's hard for me to believe that many people are, that are showing up to these protests and riots and whatnot are in good mental health. It doesn't make sense.
Do we know what those numbers are nationwide?
Nationwide, somewhere between 18 and 22% for adult female women. And that adult female woman is 18 plus. So, those, and that's just preliminary research. I kind of looked at medical journals. I asked, Chat and Grok, asked for citations and then looked at those citations. I don't just take what Chat tells me as being truth, but then looking at those citations, that's the best estimate I can find so far. If one of the audience members can find better information, please share it with me. But that's what I found.
Of the 3.7 million people who live in Minneapolis, what percentage of them are subject to this liberal mass psychosis of insanity. What percentage do you think it is?
I mean, at least 60% are subject to that, like you said, psychosis. When you go to a place, people who live in Tennessee, Virginia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, like you don't really understand what it's like living in a place like Minnesota. Every local news station is woke and covers for the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
Every school, every teacher in every school has this bent to the left and truly to a woke ideology, because they all go to the same conferences. They have something called MEA. It's like this break in October where they go, and it's like Minnesota Education Association, I think, where you just sit there for 3 or 4 days and get brainwashed, and they all hang out together wearing the rainbow clothes and all the things. So you don't realize it when you don't live there and see it, but it is literally all around you. And it's not just the city, it's everywhere. So all these folks, I actually got in some kerfuffles, some back and forth with some very close friends of mine from Minnesota who are saying it's not everybody, it's just the city. Look at how, red parts of the state voted for Trump and blah, blah, blah. I am telling you, it's a rot that is so deep that even the Republicans don't have the will to fight it.
Because they've been living with it for so long.
Yes.
The exception might be Powerline Block. I notice this when I go back to upstate New York, for instance, right? Because friends who are conservative have been beaten down for decades.
And they're so terrified and just, you're right, exhausted from being called racist and mean and awful.
Well, we know who's awful, and it's not us. All right. We'll be back with more. Got some breaking transportation fraud news up in Minnesota. Back with EJ Host after this.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your sat phone. Call now.
The math is simple. Every dollar we waste on unnecessary federal supervision is a dollar we can't use to fight violent crime. The Safer Supervision Act cuts bureaucratic waste and frees up law enforcement resources to protect families from serious threats. Law enforcement officers across the country and Republicans in Congress agree this is a smarter way to improve public safety. Stop the waste, protect our communities, fix federal supervision. Visit safersupervision.com to help. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
Ponder this. Do you ever pray to God for something you really want or need? Do you ever feel like your prayers were never heard or answered? Maybe you are praying for your favorite team to win a championship game, only to come up short and settle for runner-up. Perhaps you prayed for a promotion that you were passed over, and there's always the lottery ticket purchase. You know, praying for a winning $1 million ticket? In these circumstances, you might feel like your prayers were not heard or answered. Don't be discouraged. Your prayers were heard and answered, just that the answer was no. You see, the Lord answers prayers in the same way a good father answers requests from his children. Even Jesus was turned down in the prayer to his Father, requesting to let the pain and suffering from the cross pass from him. However, the Lord added to this request, "Not my will, but thy will be done." With every prayer and petition, consider ending it in this manner: "Not my will, but thy will be done." The Lord hears and answers all prayers. It's just that sometimes he says no. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Get in. We're stealing homes. We're not like those other home criminals that steal your stuff. We steal your hard-earned home equity. We find your property online from the public record. Got it. Create a deed transfer that makes us the homeowners. Got it. And borrow tons of cash against your equity, and you won't know till the foreclosure notice hits months later.
Just go to HometitleLock.com/Godzilla. Protect yourself.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of Glockstore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at Glockstore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at Glockstore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
This is State Senator Mark Pouty. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pouty.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pouty, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. In studio, the official guest host of the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, the one, the only, E.J. Haas. So there's another breaking video from the team of Nick Shirley, the 23-year-old, who did that famous 42-minute knocking on doors of empty Somali daycares in Minneapolis. And David, what's the older fellow's name? David somebody.
David something. I don't remember his
last name. He's been studying it for years and
years. Yeah, he's been trying to sound the alarm in Minnesota for a very long time.
And for some reason, the alarm that he was sounding and reporting on for a decade was ignored by the Minnesota media. And thank you, Elon Musk and Grok.
Sure.
He was the guy. He was the guide for Nick Shirley knocking on those doors. That video, that 42-minute video that came out when there was nobody there, and tons of money was going out to these allegedly fraudulent businesses. That video got over 120 million views on X. Pretty strong.
Yeah.
Set us up now for there's another. They're breaking another story about it.
They are. So nice to see that there's some follow-up in one of these independent journalists that aren't just they get the 100 million views or whatever and then they move on.
Give me some clicks.
Nice that they're sticking with it. I appreciate that. So this clip that we're going to play for you is them talking about transportation and translators. Who would have thought that that would be a scam? But apparently this is another instance where fake businesses or businesses grifting the system are getting ahead.
Before we play that clip, here's what it looks like to me. Everything in Minnesota is a scam.
Really, and if it's happening there, I promise it's happening elsewhere, right? I mean, I think we'd be foolish to say that there's no loopholes in any of the other states' programs, right? Of course there are. It just happens to be so egregious and involve the people who are in Congress, like Ilhan Omar, the governor, like Tim Walz, the AG, Keith Ellison, the mayor of Minneapolis, Fry, and his wife and her connections to different organizations receiving funding. So it's so deep that you can't ignore it at this point.
Yeah. Okay, let's play the clip right now. It's a tease.
When a Somali goes to the doctor, magically, they forgot how to speak English, so they need an interpreter there. So the county brings in an interpreter at $100 an hour, minimum 8 hours, to interpret what the doctor is telling the patient.
So that's another layer of fraud that nobody's even talked about or revealed.
And it's millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars all on its own. Interpreter services.
Yeah, because what percentage do you think of these people, especially if they were born here in the United States, they speak English, right?
Of course they do.
They should not be saying no English
And then remember, the interpreter has to get to the doctor's office or the hospital. How are they getting there? The transportation company, and then they got to get back home. And that patient had to get to the doctor's office. How? Transportation. Kids got to get to school. How? Transportation. That's why I said the transportation is the hub of, really, I think, all of this.
So basically what we're talking about between all these fraudulent businesses, the daycare, the autism centers, the adult daycare, the home services, and then the transportation, and then on top of that you have it looped in with them going eventually to the doctors for translators to be paid by the state.
That's exactly what's happening, yes.
And click right here to see what...
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that nuts? So I've been on this kick now for a few weeks. I love the videos that are coming out exposing all of this stuff. But I've been saying I think we're barking up the wrong tree. Like we need those videos as a jumping off point to get us to who actually needs to be arrested, right? Like whose offices need to be raided. I loved that DHS had agents, I believe they were from Department of Treasury, that were removing boxes and documents and whatnot from the Minnesota DHS. That's a good start. I don't think they're keeping all of their fraudulent documents, however, in boxes easily removed from those offices. I hope there's laptops in there too, because you got to follow the money and find out who's getting paid and by whom. Okay, so I went ahead and looked at Department of Transportation for the same kind of information. Who's heading up this organization or this agency? Who is responsible for the disbursement of funds? Who makes sure that the grants and funding mechanisms are operating properly and that no one is breaking the law and that sort of thing, right? I found it.
Tell me.
Okay, so Nancy Daubenberger, Commissioner of Transportation. She's the head of the MNDOT.
The head of the Minnesota
Department of Transportation.
Yeah.
She has ultimate responsibility for all agency activities, including funding, allocations, and disbursements. So buck stops with her as far as if these transportation companies are doing fraudulent things with the government money that they receive. So are they legitimate? Are they not? On the surface, sounds like, yes, people need a ride. Why can't they take public transit? Why can't they take other things? And who owns those transportation companies?
Why can't Uncle Buck drive them?
Correct. Do we get the same services in other places that aren't necessarily in these, communities? So in Minnesota, it tends to be a Somali community, but really there's other ethnic groups and backgrounds and neighborhoods that are doing the same thing.
Do you know what Scott Bessent said yesterday, the Secretary of Treasury?
He's been such a hero in this administration.
That guy's something else.
Yeah.
He said 10% of the money spent by the federal government is stolen.
Yeah.
Think about
10%.
that. 10%.
Yeah.
You look at our deficits. Okay, one of the reasons we have deficits is because we're stupid and we've allowed people to steal money from us. I mean, that 10%, that's pretty close to the amount of our annual deficit.
Right? It's crazy.
Right?
And we're counting on these people. Like the one I just mentioned, there's another woman named Sarah Gandor. She's the director of the Office of Transit and Active Transportation. So we're counting on people like her to be looking out for our taxpayer money. And remember, this is money that goes to the federal government first, and then it through, different channels and appropriations, it gets given to the states, and then the states disperse that money. Some of it is state tax money, and a lot of it is this federal tax money. And that's why it matters to everyone. This isn't just a Minnesota problem. They are stealing our money too, even if we don't live in that state.
Yeah.
Anyway, she is responsible for public transit, rural and urban transportation services. So what Nick, Shirley, and Dave were talking about there, and related grant programs. Her role involves overseeing federal and state funding allocations, including grants for bus replacements, infrastructure upgrades, blah, 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 and these transportation programs. Okay, so if she's responsible for all of that, would you find it interesting if I told you that she is also tied to an NGO?
I'm just so shocked.
What? A non-governmental
who would have
organization.
thunk?
She is chair of the board of directors for Move Minnesota, formerly Transit for Livable Communities.
Oh my gosh.
Now listen, if you are responsible for dispersing funds to, organizations and in your area, and one of the organizations that you sit on the board for is Move Minnesota and receives monies from the government, How is that not a conflict of interest?
It is.
Of course it is. And she's not the only one. So, there's this guy named Michael Beer. He also works for DOT and in a financial capacity. He's got connections to NGOs. Another, Molly McCartney, has NGO leadership role. So it wasn't hard to find. I just had to do a little bit of digging. I had to look at the organizational chart for MNDOT, and then I had to figure out who the people were. LinkedIn, another great place to find information. There's just a connection all of the time when you start looking at these people. Oh, this one used to work for this NGO. This one used to work for that organization. And now all of a sudden they work in the government and responsible for dispersing funds to their prior employer.
The only people reporting honestly up there, I think, are Powerline Blog, John Hinderaker's group, out of he's got a think tank up there.
Yep.
The Great American Greatness or something like that. And then Alpha News.
Alpha News, yep.
Liz Collin, and then our former reporter at for the Star News Network, Anthony Gukowski, is their managing editor now, doing a great job.
I would put Bill Glahn in that same category also.
Yeah.
Bill's terrific.
Right.
American Center for American Experiment, I think.
Yeah, that's the John Hinderaker group.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Because the synoptic local television stations, all the the big companies that they do the same lefty thing everywhere, including here in Nashville, they pay no attention to this.
That's right.
And by the way, the people there are just airheads, leftist airheads.
Listen, it's not even that they don't pay attention to it. They literally run cover and tell you, oh, well, everything you're hearing from those other organizations is completely wrong. They'll run op-eds in the Star Tribune, which the Star News or whatever it is now. They're trying to steal from you.
We'll have
the naming conventions there.
On the insanity in Minnesota when we get back. Here are a few words from Jacob Frady.
Yes, please.
Crazy man. Back after this.
Let's be real. Losing weight isn't just about looking good. It's about taking back control of your overall health. 42% of adults in America are classified as obese, and obesity is directly linked to severe health issues. If you've tried diets and different workouts with no success, it's not your fault. Big Food and Big Pharma have rigged the system against you with contradicting information, leaving you confused. But there's good news. The Wellness Company just launched Drop, a GLP-1 peptide oral drop formula developed by their chief medical board, specifically designed to support your metabolism, curb cravings, and help you shed weight. That's right. No injections, no risk of the severe side effects we're seeing with the Ozempic. Start your weight loss journey today and get $100 off, plus free shipping. Go to twc.health/Godzilla and use promo code Godzilla100. That's twc.health/Godzilla. Promo code Godzilla100. Take action today for a healthier tomorrow.
For years, the Europeans have underestimated President Trump time after time. But at every turn, he's been right. On energy, on NATO, on foreign free riding. It's time they pay up. That's why he's cracking down on foreign countries that don't pay their fair share for American medicines. Renegotiating trade deals for the prescription drugs we invent. President Trump is ending the foreign freeloading, making Europe pay their fair share.
Paid for by Americans for Limited Government.
Each of us is born with 30 trillion cells that make us. These cells determine how we feel, perform, sleep, focus, and how long we live. And to live our best life, all we have to do is feed our cells properly. But most supplements don't reach our cells, keeping us from reaching our full potential. Make every cell count with Healthy Cell. Founded with a mission to empower people to take control of their own health at the most fundamental level, the cell. Dr. Vincent Gempapa, world-renowned cell researcher and medical doctor, created supplements that work at the cellular level to support immune health, better sleep, sharper focus, and healthy aging. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of any product. That's healthycell.com. HEALTHYCELL, and use code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Is your pet ready for some pawsome fun? At Creekside Pet Hotel in Kennesaw, every day is a tail-wagging adventure. Whether they're romping with friends in day camp, enjoying a staycation in our cozy boarding, or getting pampered in our luxury spa, we make sure every furry guest gets the royal treatment. Happy pets, wagging tails, and the best care. What more could they ask for? Book your pet's perfect getaway today at creeksidepethotel.com or give us a call at 770-422-4700.
My fellow Americans, I was this close, very close, to buying from the lumber yards. These are sick people. But I turned my head at the last second, and I saw a big, beautiful ad for D.T. McCall's. These are highly respected people. If I had not turned my head at the last second, I would have been ripped off at some lumber yard for $200 in hidden charges, and D.T. McCall & Sons are never going to do that. They'd never do that to you. These are great people. I've known them for a long time. They have great deals, and I just have to say, nobody knows deals like I do. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. These are tremendous people. D.T. McCall & Sons. Check out one of their stores today.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Hi, everyone. EJ Host here, founder of the Digital Footprint Management Agency and frequent guest on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, here to tell you about GetFoundEverywhere.com. Customers are searching for your business everywhere: Google, Apple Maps, TikTok, and new AI platforms like ChatGPT and Gemini, which is a total disruptor. Traditional search engine optimization isn't dead, but it is on life support. Old tactics don't work anymore. So how can you make your business stand out? GetFoundEverywhere.com makes your business pop on over 50 search, map, review, and AI-driven platforms. With one easy dashboard, manage business profiles, social media accounts, direct messages, even texts and reviews. GetFoundEverywhere.com is affordable, boosts your visibility, and gets your business more customers. It's time to step up your game the easy way. Save time, save money, and get more customers with GetFoundEverywhere.com.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. In studio, official guest host of the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, EJ Host. EJ, this mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, spelled F-R-E-Y, pretty much an articulate lunatic, it seems to me. But he's got a fascinating background. He was born in a suburb of Washington, D.C.
Yep.
His parents, wait for it, were professional modern ballet dancers. Doesn't surprise me.
I know, that's shocking. I mean, we've all seen the video of him dancing with his Somali friends.
Jewish. His parents are both Jewish. He had a scholarship to play in college. He was an outstanding cross-country runner. Went to College of William and Mary. And he got a contract with a shoe company. He competed in the 2007 Pan Am Games. Mm-hmm. He finished fourth. And he had a marathon time of, wait for it, 2:16. Now, 40 years and 40 pounds ago, my best marathon time was 2:48. At 2:16, that's serious. But it's weird. So he goes to Villanova Law School, and he joined a law firm called Fager and Benson, and he practiced employment discrimination and civil rights law. Oh my gosh. Okay, so already.
Well,
then he gets in, but he's not from Minneapolis.
No, and he's married to a woman who has quite the ties. Sarah Clark, also known as Sarah Stevens Fry. I don't know where Clark came from, whatever. Yeah. She's all about government relations, lobbying, public policy. Yeah. So.
Yeah, some of her firms lobbied for these firms that got.
Yeah.
Somali.
Lots of money. Yeah. Yeah.
He's kind of interesting because he got
Hilden
young
Advocacy
man. He's on to his second wife already, but But so he's articulate but a lunatic. I mean, really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how articulate he is necessarily. This is a trend that's happening with a lot of these, lunatic lefty mayors and congressional reps and governors and whatnot. They think if they drop an F-bomb, it makes them sound tough. But when you look like Jacob Fry, he is a skinny, weeny little man, okay? He
can run.
He can run, and maybe he should run away.
But he can't hide.
But yeah, I mean, you look at him and you're like, ooh, that's kind of Weasley. You just know he's Weasley. He's a skinny,
he did
weeny
drop
little
an
man.
F-bomb for, it's gratuitous, really.
Right, but they do it in such a way where it's like the cadence is all wrong, and so they'll be talking normally, and then all of a sudden...
Insert F-bomb here.
Right, and
Right.
it comes out really harsh, and they have to, hard F. So it doesn't come off as genuine or authentic.
But he took constitutional law. He understands that immigration is exclusively the duty and responsibility of the federal government, not the state government.
Not the state government.
He knows
and
that.
Ellison knows that also.
Yeah,
and
they both know
they've been, screaming about all this. Funny how they never said anything during the Obama administration or the Biden administration.
Didn't matter then.
Obama in particular, I mean, thousands upon thousands were removed
Yeah.
and nobody said boo about it.
So we've carefully scoured, and I think we've removed all the F-bombs.
Okay.
I don't think there were any in this particular clip. But here's Jacob Fry whining about how ICE should not be invading Minneapolis-St. Paul.
We don't use the word invasion lightly. What we are seeing is thousands, plural, thousands of federal agents coming into our city. And yeah, they're having a tremendous impact on day-to-day life.
What?
Oh, well,
yeah,
here's
it's like
a clue,
2,000 or
buddy.
2,500 of them. There's 10,000 people estimated to be protesting across the state.
And look, here's the thing, Mayor Fry. If you would just enforce the detainers for the illegal aliens that are convicted of crimes,
Yeah,
and simply hand them over in your jail
that's right.
to ICE and comply with the federal law on immigration, there wouldn't be a couple thousand ICE agents in the streets of Minneapolis-St. Paul.
That's right. That's right. And, taking invasion lightly, that is incredible rhetoric. When you think about it, we've already got people who we discussed earlier in the hour are susceptible for whatever reason to brainwashing, propaganda, whatever. And then you're inserting this language into the equation that is you're being invaded in your neighborhoods. That's scary. And for normal thinking people, we don't understand how they can't see that that's just propaganda. But I mean, I've walked among these people. They're normal, nice people most of the time. And something triggers, man, and they are off the hook. So I think there's a lot going on here. I think his language is very dangerous. And one other thing, he's like, they're invading and whatever. Like you said, it's a federal responsibility to come in and, remove criminal aliens. And why would anybody not want to do that? But he's also saying that the police will not work with ICE. They're not protecting anyone on the streets. Imagine, we've all seen the videos. Imagine living on that street and not being able to get home. Not being able to leave your home. What if you were there when this started and you haven't been able to leave? What if there's a medical emergency and a fire truck or an EMT cannot get down your road because these people are blocking the roads? Who do we sue for that? Like, where do we go? That is primarily the Minneapolis Department of Police. It is their responsibility to keep that street safe, and they are failing miserably on purpose at the direction
They're
of Mayor
intentionally
Fry.
doing that. By the way, what's interesting about this, CNN had somebody who actually knows the law. Here's what they had to say about the likelihood of success of this Minnesota lawsuit against the Department of Homeland Security.
I've read both the Minnesota and Illinois lawsuits. They're really political diatribes masquerading as lawsuits. If you look at what both states are asking the courts to do, it's to kick ICE out of those states and cities and to bar ICE from carrying on federal law enforcement in Illinois and Minnesota. That's the top thing both states asked to do, and they cite zero precedent for that. There is zero precedent for that. There is no way a judge can say, you federal law enforcement agency, you are not allowed to execute federal law in a certain state or city. I think the most that the states could get out of this, if they get sympathetic judges, is a judge who's going to ask questions of ICE, who's going to hold hearings, who's going to demand questions about how they're training, how they're carrying out their policy. You also could have judges that issue sort of symbolic orders along the lines of, ICE, you are not to violate the law, but that's already the case. It's already not allowed for ICE to violate the law. So these lawsuits, which appear to be coordinated, they're potentially powerful political statements, but I don't give them much of a chance of achieving the legal thing that they're asking for in the courts.
Yeah, I give it a zero chance.
Yeah,
of
0%.
succeeding.
But we'll have hearings and we'll have news right before the 2026 elections.
Well, on this case, this will come to... This will be argued before a federal district court judge. I'm guessing a Minnesota federal district court judge and an Illinois federal district court judge. Now, the problem is we have a bunch of left-wing lunatics who are federal district court judges.
That's right.
So you could, if they decide to ignore the law, which they've been doing a lot lately, you could get a federal district court judge that issues a temporary injunction to stop ICE. It'll immediately go to the appellate court, and it will immediately be overturned.
That's right. But immediately doesn't mean like it happens in the morning and then it happens in the afternoon. And remember, the punishment is the lawsuit.
Right.
So it'll drag. It'll get plenty of news headlines. They will use it for fundraisers for their next election campaigns, right? It doesn't matter if they win or lose. It's all about the process and muddying the whole thing and making it difficult and then stirring up their base. I mean, Minnesota, for all its faults, the regular people who don't fall into the category of the lunatics that are out there protesting on the streets, even the ones who are lefty, they just do it because it feels right. And if you can get those people to feel like ICE is a threat and doing something wrong, then you're probably going to win their support in the next election. And to them, that's all that matters. The only thing that matters to the left, particularly to the people in leadership and elected officials in Minnesota, is the next election. And that I can say that from both left and right. I have worked with these people. I have interviewed these people. That is all they care about.
Yes.
Maintain the power.
You got 1 minute to answer this question. How will this play out in the midterms?
Yeah, I mean, I think they will solidify very blue districts. I don't think there's going to be
blue districts will be bluer.
Yeah, they will move more to the left.
How about the 30, swing districts in the House?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think probably a little too easy or too early to tell. As we get closer, we'll start seeing some polling and whatnot, and I think it's going to be very regionally specific. So Minnesota, you're not going red. I don't see that happening. I don't see anything crazy happening there that would shock America. Some of the other places, though, Georgia, Arizona, some of the districts that are up right now, I think we can flip a few. Maybe Pennsylvania.
Interesting. But it's a political game, not a legal game.
Correct.
That you're playing. All right. When we come back, I have this Manual of the United States for the information of immigrants and foreigners from the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution.
And when was that published?
It's published 1929.
Yeah.
It's got the immigration law details there. I'm going to read some of this.
I want to hear
Get your reaction to it.
Ponder this. Most of us in America have more than we need to sustain ourselves, like a roof over our heads, food to eat, and clothes to wear, and much more. The one thing we seem to be lacking every day is more time. There is never enough time in our day, or in a night for that matter. That being said, We try to create more time each day by rushing around to perhaps buy a little more time. We rush from one event to another. We double or even triple task to save time. We drive fast cars to get to our fast food restaurants. Our days are full with little time left for family, friends, and God. To better manage your pace, take a minute each morning to get on your knees and let the Lord know that you are giving Him all your time today. Sincerely ask Him to give you clear direction on what He wants you to accomplish each day. The Lord will make sure you have plenty of time for His will to be done without rushing around. Listen to the Lord to manage your time each day. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Get in. We're stealing homes. We're not like those other home criminals that steal your stuff. We steal your hard-earned home equity. We find your property online from the public record. Got it. Create a deed transfer that makes us the homeowners. Got it. And borrow tons of cash against your equity, and you won't know till the foreclosure notice hits months later.
Just go to HometitleLock.com/Godzilla. Protect yourself.
If you've tried everything for cheek redness or breakouts and nothing works, it's not your fault. The real cause might be deeper than you think. Introducing Clear Skin Ivermectin Cream from the Wellness Company, a prescription-strength, dermatologist-developed formula that helps reduce inflammation, balance bacteria, and restore your skin's natural glow. This triple-action cream combines 3 medical-grade ingredients for powerful results. Azelaic acid to unclog pores and fade dark spots, metronidazole to control bacterial imbalance and redness, and ivermectin to calm irritation and eliminate skin parasites that contribute to rosacea and acne. Together, these ingredients work to reduce bumps, swelling, and redness while supporting smoother, healthier, and more radiant skin over time. Formulated and compounded in the United States, this FDA-approved cream is trusted by doctors for visible and lasting results. Experience clear, confident skin with the Wellness Company's Clear Skin Ivermectin Cream. U.S. residents only. Head to twc.health/Godzilla and use code Godzilla to save $20 off, plus free shipping.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
It's not that all Somalis are criminal. It's just that 90% of these crimes are being committed by Somali Americans. And if you came to this country and you took advantage of the Americans' generosity, you committed fraud, and you refused to assimilate, you know what? I got 4 words for you. Get the hell out.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
The book needs to be thrown at these people.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com, listen to Michael Patrick Leahy, and make America great again.
This is State Senator Mark Pouty. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pouty.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pouty, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
In studio, official guest host of the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, E.J. House. E.J., I have in my hands right now the 1928 version of the Manual of the United States for the Information of Immigrants and Foreigners, published by the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution. Let me read a couple of the excerpts here. It is the duty of the government to preserve itself and its form of government. The government of the United States was founded and built up by those who fought for its establishment. Its laws are made by persons selected by its citizens. It does not welcome those who would overthrow that government and the liberties, happiness, and prosperity which it seeks to ensure. The United States and the several states have laws which punish attempts to destroy their governments and the peace, liberty, and prosperity established for those who live here. The immigration laws provide for the exclusion and deportation at any time of the following kinds of persons: anarchists or persons who believe in or advocate the overthrow by force or violence of the government of the United States. Your reaction to that?
Well, I think we have American citizens who are doing some of those things.
Yeah, could be.
So, I mean, Fry calling it an invasion of ICE agents. You know, the real invasion is of these criminals who are just walking across the border, as far as we can tell.
Well, it did during the Biden administration.
Right. Or
sort of a fifth column.
Or being flown in. They were flown in and dumped in these different cities. You know, if you listen to Representative Ilhan Omar, for example, she has said multiple times that her allegiance lies with Somalia.
Yeah.
If you listen to other like city council leaders and other mayors across the country, we now have a mayor of St. Paul, Minnesota, who claims to be an illegal immigrant. They are trying to take over our government, our way of life, subvert our laws. And so when you put it in that context and how it was just in 1929, it was just universally accepted that if you were going to come to this country, you were going to appreciate it, assimilate with it, and that you were not going to try and change the laws or change our government. And what we've seen now 100 years later, less than 100 years later, what it looks like. I think the daughters of the American Revolution who wrote that book, who published
would
that,
say, what have you done?
Yeah.
What have you done to our
country? They'd be shocked to find out what happened.
Here's some more from this excerpt, 1928. Those who are not citizens of the United States are admitted on probation. If found here unlawfully, they may be returned to the country from whence they came. American citizenship is too high an honor to be given away lightly to all who want to come. America welcomes you to her shores if you are sound and healthy in mind and body, if you are of good character, honest, thrifty, industrious, and moral, if you intend to make this country your home and to become a naturalized citizen. It is your duty to try to win the prize of American citizenship by learning true American ways of living. You must learn what it means to be a good American citizen. Citizenship has its duties as well as its privileges. It should be your care to perform these duties well in return for the opportunities America gives you. If you do this, you will be welcome and respected.
So for all of those who are not doing this,
which is basically pretty much the entire Somali immigrant community.
And, you know,
500,000 people.
Yeah, it's
500,000 Somalis
500,000 people
in the United States.
And that's, I think, a low estimate. I've said that many times before, that a lot of times they have children who are on, once they're here, they have children who, are not registered in any way, don't get birth certificates, things like that.
We have 250,000 in Minneapolis, St. Paul area. We have over 100,000 in Columbus, Ohio. We've got Maine. It's all over the place.
Yeah, it's everywhere. And remember, they're coming from a culture that does not believe in any of the things you just read out of that book.
Not a bit.
They are, some will call them pirates by nature, but they come from a place where they do have to fight sneakily to get ahead, where they have to take advantage and grift and scam and scheme in order to survive. That's not what American life is about. So when you come here, maybe try to figure us out. How about you try a trustworthy society and civilization? They have very little couth. They have very little understanding of our ways. And no intent whatsoever of assimilating. And that's very different than other cultures. There are cultures, the Hmong community seems to be assimilating very well. And there's plenty of other ethnicities that make it to America and do very well here.
And the big question is, why did all the Somalis go to Minneapolis, St. Paul?
Well, they were dumped there.
Yeah. Well, it was basically the NGOs that said, we can take advantage of all of the generous policies of the state of Minnesota. We can put them on welfare, and they won't be detected, and they'll get a lot of American taxpayer money.
Oh, also, the politicians there are open to having the people come here because that money goes right back into their
campaign coffers.
On that cheery note, E.J. Haas, thanks for joining us. We'll see you Friday.
We'll see you on Friday.
All right, up next, I'm going to talk a little bit about Jerome Powell whining that Jeanine Pirro is asking him questions he doesn't want to answer. Back after this.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
It's not that all Somalis are criminal. It's just that 90% of these crimes are being committed by Somali Americans. And if you came to this country and you took advantage of the Americans' generosity, you committed fraud, and you refused to assimilate, you know what? I got 4 words for you. Get the hell out.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
The book needs to be thrown at these people.
What if you had a plan to build income outside your job? At Lifestyles Unlimited, you'll learn how people are investing in real estate to grow their income and make smarter financial choices one property at a time. $297. That's a savings of $443 off our real estate education program. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
How much did you win at Rosie's Gaming Emporium?
Hi, I'm Jerry from Richmond. I won a $23,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
I'm Tammy. I'm from Newport News, and I just won a $5,400 jackpot from Rosie's.
Hi, my name is Kim, and I'm from Gloucester, Virginia, and I won $99,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
Are you ready? Learn more about Rosie's rewards and jackpots at rosiesgaming.com. Must be 18 or older. Problem gambling? Call 1-888-532-3500.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter,
WENO Nashville, KQPN West Memphis. Listen 24/7 with the News Talk 760 app, available in the Apple Store and Google Play.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The White House supports the Justice Department's criminal probe of Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the White House is leaving the investigation of the Fed chair up to the Justice Department.
One thing for sure, the president's made it quite clear, is Jerome Powell is bad at his job. As for whether or not Jerome Powell is a criminal, that's an answer the Department of Justice is going to have to find out.
She insisted that the president believes in the independence of the central bank, despite his sharp criticism of Powell. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The state of Minnesota, along with the cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, filed a lawsuit against the Department of Homeland Security to end what it calls the unprecedented surge of federal law enforcement agents in the state. Here's Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry.
What we are seeing right now is not normal immigration enforcement. We are not asking ICE not to do ICE things. We are asking this federal government to stop the unconstitutional conduct that is invading our streets each and every day.
The government says ICE agents are in Minneapolis conducting legal enforcement operations. A Chicago doctor is accused of killing his ex-wife and her remarried husband in the state of Ohio.
Michael David McKee has been charged with premeditated aggravated murder in the shooting deaths of 39-year-old Monique Tepe, whom he divorced in 2017, and 37-year-old Dr. Spencer Tepe. They were found dead in their Columbus home on December 30th. The arrest ends nearly 2 weeks of speculation about the killings. Police found no signs of forced entry, nothing was stolen, and no weapon was found. The couple's 2 young children and their dog were left unharmed in the home. The family says in a statement that it trusts the justice system to hold McKee accountable. I'm Mike Hempen.
More of these stories at townhall.com.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. Now that we're finally into the new year, a lot of us are thinking about taxes, home projects we've been putting off, ways to get ahead financially in 2026. Now's the perfect time to talk to my friends at Fellowship Home Loans. If you want to lower your mortgage payment, they can help you refinance. If you need access to cash for home improvements or to wipe out high-interest debt, their fixed-rate line of credit is one of the best tools out there. Fast approval, predictable rate, and flexibility to use your home's equity wisely. Remember, many people still qualify to skip their next 2 mortgage payments. Imagine starting big projects or paying down debt with 2 months of breathing room. My family and I have used Fellowship personally. I trust these guys. Take control of 2026. Go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. or call 800-510-MIKE. That's 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans. Mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers. DBA Fellowship Home Loans. Equal housing lender. NMLS number 819382.
Here's Rich Thomason with the Midday Wall Street Business Report.
Consumer prices rose just 0.3% in December from the prior month. The same increase we saw in November.
Economists were expecting consumer prices to rise 2.6% in December compared with a year earlier. That figure based on estimates compiled by data provider FactSet. The yearly rate in November was 2.7%. Core prices, which exclude volatile food and energy categories, were expected to rise 0.3% in December from the previous month.
Correspondent George Williams. J.P. Morgan Chase reports a 9% rise in adjusted profits for the fourth quarter, benefiting from a strong economy in both consumer and investment banking. President Trump is traveling to Michigan today. He's promoting his efforts to boost U.S. manufacturing. I'm Rich Thomason.
Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. The nation's high court hearing a case involving transgender athletes in school sports.
The Supreme Court is hearing arguments over state laws barring transgender girls and women from playing on school athletic teams. The culture war cases come from Idaho and West Virginia, among the first of the more than 24 Republican-led states that have banned transgender athletes from girls' and women's teams. The justices are evaluating claims of sex discrimination lodged by transgender people versus the need for fair competition for women and girls, the main argument made by the states. Lower courts ruled for the transgender athletes who challenged the state bans. I'm Geffen Coolbaugh.
And the Wall Street edging back from records following a mixed start to the latest. Profit reporting has been slow going on Wall Street today. The Dow right now down 296 points, but the NASDAQ is up by 66. More.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Well, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell is whining and complaining, and it is creating a bit of a kerfuffle within the financial markets, as well as Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent is not happy about this. The report is that he is now under federal investigation with regards to the spending, the huge spending on this Taj Mahal Federal Reserve building. Why is that? Well, of course, first, let's talk, why do we have a Federal Reserve? Should we have one? I don't think we should. Why should a pointy-headed economist set the interest rates for the country? This is all, stemming from the progressive movement of 1913. They've been doing this since 1913. Personally, I'd be happy to get rid of the Fed, but it's there, and it must be dealt with right now. And they've been holding up interest rates too high. There's no question about that. I agree with President Trump on this. Now, a lot of people have been whining and complaining, oh, you got to have the Fed be independent. Why? I mean, what do they do? They make a lot of money. They've got big offices, and they claim to be independent. Well, where does the Federal Reserve get to be independent in the Constitution? This has been a problem for a long time, I think, and for over a century. Right, but nonetheless, there it is. Okay, so now, Trump has been pressuring him to get interest rates down. His term as chairman of the Fed ends in May. Okay. He went and there was a lot of public concern about all of the spending and the cost overruns going on in this new Taj Mahal Federal Reserve building. He went up to Congress, made some testimony that had a lot of people scratching their heads. Okay, so what happened here? Let's play this clip right now about this and Powell.
Would you talk a little bit about just exactly what's going on with your building when you have that type of an overrun on the prices and you're talking about billions of dollars in costs? I think it's appropriate for you to be able to explain to the committee exactly what's going on. Would you take a few minutes, please, and explain what's going on with the value of that building and why the costs seem to be so exorbitant?
I'd be glad to if I can have that time. So please, thank you for the letter we received late yesterday. We will provide a much more detailed response, but just generally, I would just say we do take seriously our responsibility as stewards of the public's money. And the other thing I would start with is no one in office wants to do a major renovation of a historic building during their term in office. You much prefer to leave that to your successors. And this is a great example why, let alone two historic buildings that needed a lot of work. But we decided to take it on because, honestly, when I was the administrative governor before I became chair, I came to understand how badly the Eccles building really needed a serious renovation. It never had one. It was not really safe, and it was not waterproof and that kind of thing. So we took it on. I would also say that the media reports that you accurately quoted, they're misleading and inaccurate in many, many respects. And I would just point to, there's no VPI dining room. There's no new marble. We took down the old marble. We're putting it back up. We'll have to use new marble where some of the old marble broke, but there's no new, there are no special elevators. They're old elevators that have been there. There are no new water features. There's no beehives, and there's no roof terrace gardens. Other than that, so all of the sort of inflammatory things that the media carried are either not in the current plan or just inaccurate. So, but notwithstanding that, the cost overruns are what they are. So let me just say on that.
Well, we're well over the 5-minute mark. I'm happy to give you time to talk about that. I'm happy that there are no beehives in there, but we're going to figure out what they are anyways.
Okay, so that was a testimony that Jeanine Pirro, the U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C., who has jurisdiction because the Federal Reserve Building, he called it the Eccles Building, is in Washington, D.C., and federal taxpayer money involved. So here is the news reports that there was a Department of Justice investigation came out on Sunday. Jerome Powell went out and put a statement, said, this could possibly lead to indictment. There should be no such thing as this, blah, blah, blah. Well, Jeanine Pirro has come out with this information. The United States Attorney's Office contacted the Federal Reserve on multiple occasions to discuss cost overruns and the chairman's congressional testimony. You heard that testimony right there. But were ignored, necessitating the use of legal process, which is not a threat. The word, quote, indictment has come out of Mr. Powell's mouth, no one else's. None of this would have happened if they had just responded to our outreach. This office makes decisions based on the merits, nothing more, nothing less. We agree with the chairman of the Federal Reserve that no one is above the law, and that is why we expect his full cooperation. So, okay, that he gave that testimony. The U.S. attorney said, hey, something here isn't adding up. Could you, pretty please, respond to our questions? They ignored it. Okay. Now, Julie Kelly was very good on this. Basically, she's got a couple. She does all of the J6 reporting. She's done a great job. So we've got a couple of tweets from her on this that are really interesting about it. And let me just say these right now. So she says, the question is, should someone in charge of America's monetary policy with sweeping powers that impact the lives of every citizen, be allowed to lie under oath about the nature of a multi-billion-dollar building project without consequence? ? That's what she's saying. Okay. Now, here is another tweet from Julie on this topic. Quote, there is no question that Powell's June 2025 sworn testimony to Congress contradicts the renovation plans of two federal buildings in Washington. The Eccles building, which they reference, which I think has been the offices of Federal Reserve for some time, and then one other that's under the control of Federal Reserve. Powell specifically and emphatically denied the extravagance of the project to Senator Mike Rounds of South Dakota and Tim Scott of South Carolina. Okay, so here's the thing. This has been, I think, blown up. And the chairman going out and making a statement that, oh, they might get indicted for this is blowing it up. And what he's trying to do, and they've successfully created this perception right now. They've created the perception that Donald Trump has told Jeanine Pirro, go after Powell because he's not lowering my interest rates. And that's not at all what's going on here. Now, I will say the heavy hitter there are reports now that the heavy hitter in the cabinet, Secretary of Treasury Bessent, has basically said, is upset about this because he had a plan for succession. He moved Powell out and in May, and basically there's going to be a new chair in May, right? But Powell, I think, will not stay as chair, but I think could stay as a member of the Federal Reserve Board. And Bessent wants him out completely. And this investigation, he's saying, could goof that up. I think this is a PR ploy, and the quick response of Powell indicates, as they say in the law, a guilty conscience. All right. Hey, when we come back, we're going to talk about some Tennessee stuff, some Afton Bain news. Back after this.
Hi folks, John Fredericks here for Freedom Alliance. Veterans are still struggling with the wounds of war. They came home with injuries that changed them forever. The flag-burning troublemakers in our streets remind me how fortunate we are to have patriots who served and fought, sacrificed, and never complained. We need to support them through organizations like the Freedom Alliance. It's Military Appreciation Month and time to support those who serve. Freedom Alliance is caring for combat veterans and military families. Combat veterans fought in the worst, most dangerous places on earth. Freedom Alliance takes them to nature's most relaxing locations so they can heal. Freedom Alliance gives injured troops mortgage-free homes, new cars, and all-terrain wheelchairs. For wounded vets, there's nothing like the stability of your own home, the reinsurance of a reliable vehicle, or the independence of a wheelchair that navigates snow, ice, beach, pasture, or most any terrain. Let's fight for those who fought for us. Go to freedomalliance.org/Godzilla and make a monthly gift that will improve the life of a military hero. That's freedomalliance.org/Godzilla. Make a contribution today.
If you're like me, most moms find it difficult to prioritize self-care. Hi, it's Colleen, Program Director at the John Fredericks Media Network. With the demands of programming 13 radio stations, it's easy to forget about the things I should do for myself daily. And that's why I started with our company's Women's Challenge with Native Path Collagen Peptides. It's affordable and convenient care in just one scoop a day. There are so many incredible health benefits like bone and joint support, metabolism booster, and hair, skin, and nail improvement. I like to take a moment each day to prioritize myself and indulge in the health-boosting benefits of Native Path Collagen Peptides. I love mixing it up with all the different smoothie recipes, too. Learn more about Native Path Collagen Peptides and read 7 important reasons why you should be taking collagen peptides at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Prioritize your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
Target.com. Target.com is an online e-commerce tire retailer. We are here to serve the American public with the best possible customer service, the best pricing, and we make it extremely easy. We have many name brands and a lot of low-cost tires. The price is right, and it's easy. You go online to Target.com, Tireget.com, Target.com. You go there, you put your zip code in, all the inventory displays right in front of you. You can call in for help if you want to. We'll help you get the tire that you need. But we will take the tires you buy and at no extra charge deliver them to the dealer right by your house where they will be installed at the market price. It's easy. The best price, the best service. Great people to deal with. Thank you for going to Target.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Well, we're going to change a little bit here before we get to Tennessee stuff. So, the Supreme Court today is hearing oral arguments on two cases. One is a case in Idaho where the state has passed a law which prohibits biological males from competing against biological females in high school sports. And the other is very similar, where biological males are prohibited from competing against biological females in high school sports in West Virginia. Two cases consolidated. Arguments are going on today. Well, we've got the audio right now. This won't surprise anybody in our listening audience. The worst Supreme Court justice in history is got to be Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is a hardcore ideologue, who has been, moved up the chains because she's a black woman. Let's be honest, right? She's the same Supreme Court justice who, when questioned by Senator Marsha Blackburn in her confirmation hearings, if she could define a woman, said, "No, I can't." Just obviously pure hardcore progressive lefty. And, usually you'll see, cases are 6-3, 7-2, 8-1, where, and depending just on how out of control Ketanji Brown Jackson is, she'll be an 8-1. Most often she aligns with the lefties on the court, Justice Kagan and Justice Sotomayor. Look, you can see where this one's going. The way the court usually is, they have written submitted arguments, and then they have oral arguments, which is going on today in this case, and then after that, they decide back and forth who's going to write the opinion, and they have a vote on it. And in this case, the court will rule in June probably on this. It'll release it. But, it's so predictable. Ketanji Brown Jackson, Ketanji Brown Jackson, you got to listen to this closely. Here is her argument. And she's kind of arguing for all the LGBTQ tranny crowd. She's sort of acting as their defense counsel here. Let's just listen to her questioning right now. This was this morning, just about an hour ago, in the Supreme Court, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Classification. And so to the extent that you have an individual who says what is happening in this law is that it is treating someone who is transgender but who does not have, because of the medical interventions and the things that have been done, who does not have the same threat to physical competition and safety and all of the reasons that the state puts forward, that's actually a different class, says this individual. So you're not treating the class the same, and you're not, how do you respond to that? In other words, the as-applied challenge essentially redefines the class, or one could think of it as that. And so what's wrong with that, number one, and how do you square that with our holdings in Caban, which Lehr later described in this way? In other words, Lehr suggested that Caban was establishing that as-applied challenges of this nature do exist.
Certainly, take the second question first.
Yes.
Caban says nothing about as-applied. I know that Lehr says later this was an as-applied case, but simply reading Caban, it does not say that. It simply applies intermediate.
No, I understand, but those two cases were in juxtaposition with one another, and Lehr comes out the way it does, distinguishing Caban on the basis that it's an as-applied challenge, and we in Lehr have a facial challenge, and it's basically the same facts. So if you're right, those two cases can't come out the way they do.
I don't think so, Your Honor. Again, Lehr was actually briefed as a standing argument of maybe you might be able to argue that this law is overbroad, but you individually are not in the overbroad part, and therefore you don't get to challenge it. The court didn't use standing language, like express standing language in the opinion, but that is the logic of the opinion.
Mr. Hurst?
Yes.
There's another way to think about the case your friends on the other side posit, and that is that...
Okay. So, did you follow all that? She's trying to concoct some kind of, really ridiculous concocted a legal argument there that it just is denying all reality. Here's the good news. Justice Alito is not putting up with any of this. Here was his questioning in the case, just in the oral argument, just about an hour ago.
That has a boys, let's say, track team and a girls track team. The school has that. And a student who has the genes and the reproductive system of a male and had those at birth and has never taken puberty blockers, never taken female hormones, never had any gender-altering or affirming surgery, says, nevertheless, I am a woman. That's who I am. Can the school say, no, you cannot participate on the girls' team?
So you're just a birth sex male who has all the advantages of birth sex male hormones, and can the school bar him from the women's team? Yes, they can.
But that person, is that person not a woman in your understanding? If the person says, I sincerely believe I am a woman, I am in fact a woman. Is that person not a woman?
I would respect their self-identity in addressing the person, but in terms of the statute, I think the question is, does that person have a sex-based biological advantage that's going to make it unfair for that person to be part of the women's team? And that's the rationale for the regulation, and so that's the way we would be testing that hypothetical.
Well, the reason I'm asking has to do with discrimination on the basis of transgender status. So what you seem to be saying is, yes, it is permissible for the school to discriminate on the basis of transgender status, because if this person is a trans woman, a trans girl, and is barred from the team, from the girls' team, then that person is being subjected to differential treatment based on transgender status, right?
Well, that would be, then the question would be whether it was, the scrutiny would be satisfied. So from our perspective, that would be a transgender classification.
Okay, so this is crazy. Apparently the argument going here is that that Alito was looking at here is apparently they're saying, well, if you just identify as transgender, but you don't take any hormones or do any therapy, that's one group. But if you do the hormones and the therapy, that's another group, right? And I think what the ACLU and that crowd are arguing here is, oh yeah, it sounded like that in that particular, I think that was the West Virginia case, not the Idaho case. But what they're saying is the plaintiffs in that case are saying, yeah, The school can go ahead and not allow a male who's just wearing a skirt and lipstick. They can prevent that person from competing in girls track. But they're arguing, if they're a male and they're taking puberty blockers, then they're arguing the law in West Virginia is wrong because you're treating that person, that's a new class of person. Where they're inventing new classes of persons, right? That the class of person is you're born biologically a male, that's one class. And you're born biologically a female, that's another class. But the same class is if you're born biologically a male and you don't take these puberty blockers or have, the surgery, you're still in the class of male. But there's a special class of individual. You're born a biological male. You take these puberty blockers. Maybe you get something snipped off, right? That's a new class, and you can't be prejudicial to them. But here's the point: it doesn't matter if your genetics, if your DNA, if your chromosomes are male, you're going to be more powerful, stronger, faster than females. I mean, that's just the biology of it. And if you're an athlete, even if you've gone through all these puberty blockers, I mean, you are going to have more strength, more speed, and more power than the females who you're competing against. And you're not a special class of person. You're just a mentally ill person who has been improperly treated by the medical community. That's where you are. So where is this going to go? This will be 6-3, probably, when the final decision is released. Because I think Kagan and Sotomayor are going to have to stand in solidarity with their sister, Ketanji Brown Jackson. That's how bad these three leftist justices are. So my prediction, it'll be 6-3. And both the Idaho law banning men from competing in women's sports and the West Virginia law will be upheld. When we come back, we've got some Tennessee news. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy, back after this.
EJ Haast here, founder of the Digital Footprint Management Agency and frequent guest on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, here to tell you about GetFoundEverywhere.com. Customers are searching for your business everywhere: Google, Apple Maps, TikTok, and new AI platforms like ChatGPT and Gemini, which is a total disruptor. Traditional search engine optimization isn't dead, but it is on life support. Old tactics don't work anymore. So how can you make your business stand out? GetFoundEverywhere.com makes your business pop on over 50 search, map, review, and AI-driven platforms. With one easy dashboard, manage business profiles, social media accounts, direct messages, even texts and reviews. GetFoundEverywhere.com is affordable, boosts your visibility, and gets your business more customers. It's time to step up your game the easy way. Save time, save money, and get more customers with GetFoundEverywhere.com.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of Glockstore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at Glockstore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at Glockstore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
My fellow Americans, my good friends, I've known them for a long time, at D.T. McCall & Sons have the deal of a lifetime for you, and nobody knows deals like I do. That much I can tell you. Nobody knows deals like I do. The lumber yards, they can hit you with hidden charges for up to $200 extra. They'll charge you for cords and hoses and haul-offs. Your money goes all over the place and out of the state, and most importantly, out of your pockets. How do they get away with that? I don't know how they do that, but on day one, if you buy from McCall's, we are going to stop the hidden charges as soon as you buy it. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. Head to one of their stores today or check them out at dtmccalls.com. You're going to love it, believe me.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from our studios in Nashville, Tennessee. Well, we're going to talk about some Tennessee stories here in this segment, and I want to start off with this clip. Just came in yesterday. An anti-ICE protester was claiming he was run over by law enforcement down in Memphis. Only it was a Tennessee Highway Patrol car. They had a video cam on the car, and what the guy claimed is not exactly what. Let me play this clip right now. So here we go. There's the car, dash cam, and the driving along. There the guy's stepping out.
Get out of my way! Move! 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 Move!
The car stopped.
Move! Get out! Come here!
And the guy was pretending to be hit. It was the car stopped. The guy's standing in front of him, and then he kind of feigns like I got hit, falls under. The car's totally stopped, and then he gets up. This is the kind of lunatic. Now, look, if this had happened in Minneapolis or St. Paul, there would be, like hundreds of anti-ICE lunatics there surrounding the Tennessee Highway Patrol car. Obviously, it's not up in Minneapolis, but no. It's crazy. Look, this is why so many people are moving to Tennessee, because we don't put up with that kind of ridiculousness. A couple of other stories to talk about here today. This is kind of fun. Afton Bain, remember Afton Bain? She's the one that she's a state rep from North Nashville, and she joined the Tennessee 3. Trying to call them like the Tennessee 4 now. She's a leftist lunatic. She ran for Congress. She got beat by 9%. And despite millions and millions of dollars poured in, she lost the special election in December of 2025 for the 7th Congressional District, which includes about parts of Nashville, Davidson County, parts of Williamson County, parts of Montgomery County, which is up in Clarksville, and about, 11 other rural counties. Anyway, she lost. Well, here, this story by our own Tom Pappert. Tennessee Democrat Afton Bain will not run for Congress again after special election took, quote, unimaginable toll on her health. Well, look, she was not really her mental health was not strong before. She was just, displaying it all for everybody to see. But here's the story. State Representative Afton Bain, Democrat from Nashville, announced on Monday she will not run for Congress in 2026, citing, quote, the, quote, unimaginable toll her special election campaign took on her health last year. Really? She got millions of dollars from out-of-state donors, and all she had to do was, show up occasionally and do a video clip. Bain made the announcement less than 2 months following the December 2nd concession speech, following her loss to U.S. Representative Matt Van Emp's RTN 07, when she suggested she may challenge the newly elected Republican during the 2026 midterm elections. Quote, running for this race was really tough, and after much consideration, I've decided to run only for re-election to my state House seat, Bain wrote. I'll continue to organize and, quote, pinky promise will run for higher office, but there's a lot of work to be done. Okay. I also need to be honest with you. It was not fun. This race took an unimaginable toll on my mental, physical, and emotional health. Every day, I woke up to a constant deluge of violent rape threats, violent death threats. My family were digitally harassed and stalked, and it affected my health in a lot of ways. And I desperately need time to recover. She told her supporters, quote, so after a lot of conversations with my family, I don't even know who her family is, right? I get parents, but I don't know about the other part of her family, and my team, and of course my beloved House District 51 constituents, I've decided I'm not going to run for the 7th congressional race this year. Bain said she would seek re-election solely to her seat in the Tennessee General Assembly, but indicated she would use some of her $465,000 in leftover campaign funds, wait for it, to start a new political organization. Quote, we do have some money left over. It's not what the Nashville scene is reporting, but we will be fulfilling campaign commitments that we made on the trail. I will also be launching a new organizing project called Unrigged, which I'm really excited about. According to Bain, her new organization will, quote, build the coalition that Democrats need in Tennessee to actually flip us a statewide race in probably 6 to 8 years. Quote, I know it's probably not what you all wanted. But there's a moment where I have to protect myself and take care of myself and care loudly for myself. She's caring loudly, folks. And that I'm incredibly grateful for each of you. Okay. Well, fragile mental health. Not surprising. But, she's going to take that money and she's going to do something else with it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. There's more to that story than she's just... Here's the deal. She's going to lose. A, she was going to lose. And B, she wanted to keep the money, right? Because there's going to be 435 races for Congress, and she won't be, just the one special election race where all the money will come into her. So that's the real reason, I think. Okay, we've got another story here, a poll that was put out by a group called Tennessee Can Action Fund. Basically, they were looking at the issue of whether Tennessee Republicans support expanding the education freedom scholarships that began last year, as well as charter schools. The Tennessee General Assembly is basically looking at expanding this. Well, this is something that we support. We put up a little group together called Tennessee Leads, a 501c4, to argue on behalf of this and other education changes that are necessary. And clearly, right now, this current academic year, there are 1 million K-12 public school students here in Tennessee. 20,000 of them have received these education scholarships. And basically, the speaker wants to double that this year. I think that's great. Basically, so the Tennessee Department of Education confirmed families in 91% of Tennessee's counties benefited from the scholarships. Okay, so among Republicans, let's take a look at this. 2/3 of Tennessee Republicans, according to this poll, put together by Anchor Research for the Tennessee Can Action Fund, 2/3 of Republicans support expanding the Education Freedom Act. It also found that 62% of Republican primary voters support expanding high-performing charter schools, and 58% support increasing state funding for charter schools. Additionally, 68% of respondents support open enrollments for students across district and county lines. What does that mean? So it means this: if you live in Davidson County and you say, I want to go to Williamson County, that 68% of respondents support that. What else do we have? Yeah, this was a survey, 635 likely Republican primary voters in Tennessee, conducted December 2nd to December 4th. Yeah, I think that's good stuff. And I think we'll see how this all plays out. By the way, a programming note. This is going to be kind of fun. Tomorrow, we will have here in studio in hour 2 of the program, that's 10:15 Central Time, Kevin Dyson will join us. Do you know who Kevin Dyson is? If you're a football fan, and if you're a Tennessee Titans football fan, he was a wide receiver for the Titans for about 6 years and was very, very, very good. He is famous for 2 plays in the, 1999 season? I think it was 99, when in 2000, the Titans went and played in the Super Bowl. They lost the Super Bowl. How did they get to the Super Bowl? Well, they were playing the Buffalo Bills, and with like a minute to go, the Buffalo Bills scored a touchdown and went ahead a couple points. And the Titans used a trick play. The ball was kicked off and given to Frank Wycheck. Wycheck picked it up, and the late, great Frank Wycheck, tight end. And he threw a lateral across the field during the kickoff that Kevin Dyson got. And the guy, lit out for it and scored a touchdown with, just seconds remaining. And that led, it's called the Music City Miracle. That led to the Titans going to the Super Bowl. Well, fast forward to the Super Bowl. Titans down, fourth quarter, minute to go, 23-16. Maybe seconds to go. Actually, seconds to go. Last play of the game, I think the Titans were at the 7-yard line, I think. And so the late Steve McNair threw a pass to, and Kevin Dyson caught it. And he was headed towards the end zone, would have tied the game, put it into overtime. And the linebacker for the Rams, Mike Jones, tackled him, and he stretched the ball out, and he missed it by that much. I don't know, maybe it was maybe a yard, maybe less. And the game ended on that play. Those are 2 famous plays. Why do I bring this up? Well, Kevin Dyson, after his football career, became an educator. He earned an EDD. I don't know where he earned it from, but, so he's Dr. Kevin Dyson. And he became the athletic director at Independence High School in Williamson County, just south of Nashville. Then the high school principal at Centennial. Now he wants to put a charter school together called Music City Academy to be high school. And it's going to focus on sports and academics. Great idea. We're going to learn tomorrow in hour 2 of the program what Kevin's plan is for that. I know he's been affiliated with a group called Backfield in Motion, which gets a lot of money from the NFL to do kind of programs like that in various schools. But now he's going to put it into one academy, Music City Academy. What we'll learn tomorrow from Kevin Dyson is, has he submitted his application? There's a very lengthy, involved process you got to go through. Ultimately, the Tennessee Board of Education would approve this, but you got to go through the Tennessee Public Charter Commission, and they've got to recommend you positively. And if they do, then the school board can vote on it. The school board typically votes it down in most places, and then they can appeal it to the board. It's very complicated. But we'll find out. We'll talk to Kevin about that tomorrow. When we come back, News Potpourri. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
is Tom Carmichael, CEO of Solti, a supplement to help you have a healthier heart and stronger cardiovascular system. At Solti, we regularly get emails from our customers telling us how Solti has helped them. Like this one from Kelly. Hello, I'm 58 years old and have had high cholesterol for years. I wanted to stay away from prescription drugs. My husband and I have been using Solti for about 13 months. My results have been amazing. My cholesterol levels went from 291 to 129. I am so impressed with Solti and want to thank you. Now, in my own case, my bad cholesterol dropped from 130 to 89, and that was 20 years ago. I'm 75 years old and I take 0 prescription drugs. To get a great deal on Solti, please go to GodzillaHeart.com, and when you check out, use the code Godzilla to get our best deal, which is 50% off your first shipment and then 3 bottles for the price of 2 thereafter. You don't have to live with a broken heart.
Do you suffer from
Try
declining
Solti
bone and
today.
joint health? Hi, it's Tina with the John Fredericks Media Network. And when I heard about our company's Women's Challenge, I jumped on the opportunity to test this amazing supplement that's already restoring my bone density, soothing my joint pain, and helping me regain lost mobility. I've experienced so many benefits in such a short time with Native Path collagen peptides because they support my bones and joints, boost my metabolism, and unleash the most radiant skin and hair since my 20s. In just 2 weeks, my knee stiffness is gone, and I'm already hitting the gym more aggressively. And I get so many compliments on my glowy skin and shiny hair. Native Path collagen peptides are so easy to take. They're tasteless, odorless, and mix great with my morning coffee. Read thousands of 5-star reviews at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Level up your self-care with Native Path collagen peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Folks, it's that time of day. It's time for News Potpourri. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, News Potpourri. This is the portion of the program we talk about the stories that are of note, don't necessarily merit a full segment, and may have a touch of irony. Well, we'll start off with an ironic video clip. So if you're a protester up there in Minneapolis and you just hate Donald Trump and you hate ICE and you see a reporter out there, well, how you respond to that reporter will depend upon who they are reporting for. Let's play this clip.
Smaller crowd. This is controlled. The scene spans several blocks. We are here at Portland Avenue and East 35th, but it goes at least 2 or 3 blocks.
Who are you? Who do you work
thank
for?
you.
Who do
Hold
you
on.
work
I'm
for?
sorry. We're with CNN. It's okay. Thank you. Thank you for your help. I'm sorry.
Okay, so look, who are you? Who are you representing? That protester was going to, physically intimidate, maybe, attack the reporter if they'd said Fox News, or if they said Bannon's War Room, or if they said the Tennessee Star, right? But no, it's okay. Yeah, part of that. Crazy, absolutely crazy. Breaking news, Donald Trump has canceled a meeting with Iran and has basically said the following. He put out just a little bit ago, he put this post out on Truth Social. Iranian patriots keep protesting, take over your institutions, save the names of the killers and abusers. They will pay a big price. I have canceled all meetings with Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops. Help is on its way. And instead of MAGA, he said MAGA, make Iran great again. Interesting on that. Other news about breaking news, a lot of breaking news right now. The December core consumer price rose at a 2.6% annual rate, less than expected. Affordability coming your way soon. Now, this is interesting here. Let's go. Bill Clinton has ignored a deposition and is skipping congressional subpoenas. And there will be a vote, basically. He intends to begin proceedings next week to hold Clinton in contempt of Congress. That would have to pass a House vote. If it does, it would then be referred to the Department of Justice for criminal prosecution. I don't know. Doesn't he have to? If you're subpoenaed by Congress, don't you have to testify? Is Bill Clinton going to get special treatment? I think maybe he will. What else do we have going on here? This is interesting. Oh, this is a good story here. This is a state rep here in Tennessee. His name is Charlie Baum, B-A-U-M. He's also a professor, wait for it, of economics at Middle Tennessee State University. I like this idea. We've got to get Charlie in to talk about this. Headline, State Representative proposes creating state-run retirement plans for private sector employees. A bill filed for the upcoming legislative session of the Tennessee General Assembly proposes creating a state-facilitated retirement savings program for private sector employees whose employers do not offer a retirement plan. This is good. The plan, under State Representative Charlie Baum's Tennessee Retirement Savings Plan Act, he's a Republican, by the way, from Murfreesboro, filed as HB 1447, would be a defined contribution retirement account, similar in structure to an individual retirement account, professionally managed and run with private sector partners, but administered under state supervision. The program would roll out gradually beginning in 2029, starting with workers at large employers and expanding to smaller businesses over the following 2 years. Accounts will be portable, allowing workers to keep their savings when changing jobs and roll funds into other retirement accounts. Baum cited an AARP study that shows 1 in 5 Americans over the age of 50 does not have any retirement savings, and more than half worry they will not have enough money to support them in retirement. I like this idea. There's only one thing I think that I would change in it. Why do you have to wait to 2029 to start this? Let's start it like in 2027. I think that makes sense. Okay, here's the interesting. The Prime Minister of Greenland is telling Donald Trump, we choose Denmark over the U.S. All 58,000 of them in Greenland. I'm sorry, guys. You don't have the chops. Greenland Prime Minister, oh, this is interesting. See what's going on here. Greenland Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen and Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen held a joint news conference today. Now remember, tomorrow, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance are meeting in the White House with the foreign minister of Denmark and the ambassador to the United States. And also remember, Carlos Sands, the former ambassador to Denmark under Trump 1.0, told us yesterday on this very program that this prime minister, Mette Frederiksen, has not called or answered any calls from President Trump in over a year. Oh, this is a little bit of a power play, right? Well, you're going to find out. Greenland Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen said Tuesday that the Arctic island chooses Denmark over the U.S. If we have to choose between the U.S. and Denmark here and now, we choose Denmark. Okay, let's see. I got a couple words for you. FAFO. Greenland, folks, is in the Western Hemisphere. And under the Monroe Doctrine, right, the modern version of the Monroe Doctrine, if it's in the Western Hemisphere, it's under American influence. And we cannot have a European power, quote, controlling a huge island that is strategically important in the Western Hemisphere. Not going to happen. There you go. That's our show for today. We'll be back tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Thanks for joining us. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com. Listen to Michael Patrick Leahy and make America great again.
FlatFeeNashville.com is a full-service real estate brokerage that charges homeowners a upfront flat fee of $999 to completely list, market, and sell your home. We are all about saving consumers money, saving that equity. Nobody should hire an agent and feel like when that agent walks in the door that that agent is more concerned about the down payment on their next Mercedes purchase versus saving the equity that those homeowners have worked hard for. I've spent my entire career in ensuring that the equity that people save and they put into their monthly mortgage every single month, as much of that as we possibly can goes back to them when they go to list and sell that home. The idea is to give homeowners the ability to really create generational wealth.
FlatFeeNashville.com, FlatFeeNashville.com.